Chapter 26. After a while, Lin Qingjun walked into the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and adjusted the temperature to the lowest. Close your eyes and let the cold water wash over your body. His mind is now full of what just happened on the battlefield. I don't know how long it took before I slowly opened my eyes. He looked down at his hands and murmured, "So this is what it feels like to watch someone die? Clench your fists." Suddenly, he felt his body became much lighter. Is this a breakthrough? I quickly circulated the energy in my body and could feel it becoming lighter. At the same time, I could also clearly feel an invisible energy enveloping me. Lin Qingjun raised one hand and reached forward. I didn't touch the invisible energy, but I could sense its existence. But I didn't feel anything before the breakthrough. Forget it. I'll ask the instructor tomorrow. He shook his head, wiped his body, put on his clothes, and walked out. He sat down on the sofa and turned to look at Shirdi, who was eating dessert in small bites. "You said, will killing one's own kind have any impact on me?" The latter turned around and said with his big icy eyes flashing, "Yes, there is no good when karma is entangled. It is not only killing one's own kind, but also other creatures. But there will always be a few outliers who kill others. Enter the Tao to achieve yourself. Who is so cool? A lot of. Well, you just mentioned a few, and now you're saying a lot more." The next day, I came to the classroom and waited for the class to end. Half a day passed. Zhong Feng stood on the podium and said, "Tomorrow is the day for the midterm exam. You will be sent to the designated area to hunt a few exotic beasts that meet your requirements. You have one afternoon to prepare yourself." When Ida raised his hand and said, "Teacher, how many days will this quiz last?" "Half a month. To ensure your safety, the strange beasts in there have been strictly dealt with, so there will be a lot fewer strange beasts. But if you are lucky enough and kill enough strange beasts, you can end it early. If you have nothing else, let's end the class." After saying that, Zhong Feng left. Lin Qingjun hurried forward and caught up with him. "Teacher, I have some questions about cultivation that I want to ask." Zhong Feng stopped and looked at him, wondering, "You've only been practicing for a few days? You already have questions? Ask me." Lin Qingjun scratched his head and said, "It's like this. I broke through to the third stage of the cocoon's solid realm." Puff. Before he could finish his words, Zhong Feng was choked by his saliva. "What did you say? You broke through to the third stage of the cocoon state? What kind of strong medicine did you take? Where did you get the resources besides the ones given to you by the academy?" Zhong Feng looked incredulous. How many days has he been practicing? About a month, and he has already reached the third level? "Teacher, isn't this a simple thing? I could have been faster. I could have reached the third stage in less than half a month, but I kept suppressing it in order to lay a good foundation." Lin Qingjun laughed. "Teacher, I just broke through to the third stage and I feel something is wrong with my body. What's going on?" Zhong Feng took a deep breath, thinking that the SS level contracted spirit was indeed extraordinary. As he walked forward, he said, "Some things, when you reach a certain level, I can tell you. Follow me." Lin Qingjun nodded and followed Teacher Zhong into the office. "Sit." Zhong Feng made himself a cup of tea, sat on a chair, looked at Lin Qingjun opposite him and said, "You said you felt a little uncomfortable. Did you feel that something was wrapped around you? That feeling made you very uncomfortable, but untouchable." Lin Qingjun's eyes lit up and he nodded repeatedly. Few. Zhong Feng took a sip of tea, his expression extremely serious, and he slowly said, "Cocoon's solid realm. Do you know why this realm has such an ugly name? Is it unpleasant to listen to? I think it's okay. The cocoon refers to the energy you feel. It is like a cocoon, and you are the insect trapped in the cocoon. If you want to see the vast world clearly, you must break the cocoon." Zhong Feng put down the teacup, stood up, walked to the window behind him, opened the curtains, and opened the window. "Gaze at the vast sky in front of you. Xiao Lin, in fact, we humans are like this cocoon, sealed in the cocoon and unable to move. The reason why we gave it this name is to keep in mind all the time. I hope that I can break out of the cocoon and become a human being in my lifetime." Butterfly. Lin Qingjun looked at Zhong Feng's back and said with a smile, "Teacher, what you said sounds like you are dying of the 5 degenerations of heaven and meh. Hey, why do you deserve a beating? I was just feeling sad and you ruined it." Zhong Feng turned around, pinched his ear and chased him out. "But, you said it as if you were parting. How could people not be suspicious?" He rubbed his ears and left with Shirdi. While walking to the cafeteria, I saw the students around me running behind me. I couldn't help but turn my head to look. I found that the students around me were all running in one direction behind me. Out of curiosity, I ran over. Hearing the discussions of several people on the roadside, Lin Qingjun learned that they were students who had gone out for internships or training and had returned. Hearing this, he ran over quickly. Arrived at the gate of the college. This place has already been surrounded by a huge crowd of people. Lin Qingjun found a higher place and looked towards the door. I looked for a long time, but didn't see the person I wanted to see. Just when he was about to leave in disappointment, a voice came into his ears. Brother. Lin Qingjun turned around abruptly and looked. A young man who was almost as handsome as himself ran over, hugged him in his arms, and rubbed his hair. Haha, brother, how did you know I was going back to school today? Well, I saw everyone around me rushing over here, so I came here. I didn't expect you to really come. Didn't you just go out for a year? You still have a few more years of experience, right? Lin Qingjun came out of his brother's arms. Break free and say. Lin Qingyang's head popped up on his head and said, You are confused, right? I entered the school when I was 17 and left when I was 19. I went to work at the Yuching Guards. I was an intern for the first 5 years, but I was noticed by a leader and worked for another 5 years. Otherwise, my strength would not be Pagu now, but directly above Tongling. Lin Qingjun nodded in understanding. I was wondering, how could your S-level Fengling Guqin's contracted spirit still be stuck in the broken solid realm after more than 10 years? The profession of Yuching Weishi is very busy and there is no time for cultivation, so the realm is basically stuck there and has not moved. Well, the salary of the city guards is second only to the city guards in terms of resources provided by the academy, so I am not short of resources now. Just tell me what resources you need. Chapter 27. Upon hearing this, Lin Qingjun immediately shook his head and waved his hands, saying, Brother, forget it. The resources given by the academy are wasted every time you practice. You should keep them for yourself. Lin Qingyang nodded. Indeed, with your SSS-level contract spirit, the academy will not take you seriously. Come on, I will treat you to a feast. Lin Qingjun grinned. Okay, let's go have a feast. Just then, a voice came. Brother Qingyang, is this the younger brother you always talk about? The three of them turned to look. It was a pretty girl wearing the uniform of the Yujo guards, standing behind them. Your brother looks a lot like you, right? Even though we were born 10 years apart, we look very similar. If you have nothing else to do, I'll leave first. Well, but without waiting for the girl to finish her words, Lin Qingyang turned around and pulled Lin Qingjun away. The latter said on the way, Brother, who is this pretty girl? She is also wearing the uniform of Yujo guards. Could she be your junior? She is calling you so intimately. There must be something fishy going on. What's the trick? We are just junior students. What could happen? I have always regarded her as a colleague. The three of them chatted as they walked on the way to the cafeteria. Brother, now that you have left your job at Yuching Guards, have you been home for a long time? Lin Qingjun said. Lin Qingyang shook his head. No, I have to break through to the commander level in this academy before I can leave. The commander level is the graduation level of the academy. After graduation, I still have to go to the Yuching Guard division. But don't worry, I'll go home and have a look when I have time. Lin Qingjun nodded. When he was about to say something, a beautiful woman with white hair and green clothes suddenly appeared in front of him, holding a guqin in her hands. Master Luo? Good afternoon, Master Luo. I'm sorry that I'm late. Please punish me, Master Luo. Lin Qingyang bent down towards the white-haired woman. Just as Lin Qingjun was looking around at a loss, a big hand pressed his head down. F***ku, brother. What are you doing? Your romantic debts have nothing to do with me. F***ku. This is my master, my teacher. Lin Qingyang glared at his brother. The latter was stunned for a moment, then straightened up and bent down again. Hello, Master Luo. Please punish my brother twice as much for his mistakes. He has a thick skin and thick flesh. Okay, everyone, get up. I don't blame Qingyang. Just as the two were insulting each other, Master Luo spoke. After hearing this, the two of them stood up and smiled embarrassedly. Master Luo walked over and asked, What have you learned in the past 10 years? What have you realized? Have you practiced the piano diligently? Master Luo did not ask whether Lin Qingyang's own realm had improved, as if the realm was just an external thing in her eyes. Not worth mentioning. Lin Qingyang nodded repeatedly, scratched the back of his head and smiled. Yes, I have a great enlightenment. I have felt a lot and learned a lot. I will practice the piano every day as long as I have time, and I guarantee that I will not be rusty. Master Luo nodded, then looked at Lin Qingjun beside him and said, This must be the younger brother you always talk about in my ear. He looks just like you. Then he lowered his eyes to look at Lin Qingjun's hands and nodded. They are a good pair of hands. They are absolutely suitable for practicing the piano. At this moment, a figure stood in front of Lin Qingjun. The emperor frowned slightly, raised his chin and said, "You are an inferior race. My lord bowed to you, which is already a great honor to you. Don't criticize my lord anymore, or else don't blame me for being rude." Inferior race? Upon hearing this, Master Luo looked up and down at Emperor Shi and said, "Aren't you also a human? Why are you saying this, Tread?" The Emperor of Time took a step forward, his icy-colored pupils suddenly lit up, and the power of time and space was ready to be unleashed. "I am not your inferior." Before she could finish her words, Lin Qingjun covered her mouth and held her head in his arms. "Stop talking to me." Lin Qingjun smiled apologetically at Master Luo. "I'm sorry, Master Luo. This is my contracted spirit. She used to be a female emperor. Please forgive me." Master Luo suddenly realized what was going on after hearing this. Then he was startled again, and finally glared at Lin Qingyang before turning around and disappearing on the spot. "Why are you glaring at me, Master Luo?" Lin Qingyang scratched his head, looking puzzled. Lin Qingjun rolled his eyes and laughed. "Ha ha ha, brother. You'll have to kneel on the washboard when you go back." "What? A washboard? Why would I kneel down to get something?" Lin Qingyang looked shocked. Lin Qingjun let go of the angry and aggrieved Emperor Shi, waved his hand and said, "Hey, tell me what your relationship with Master Luo is first." Lin Qingyang walked towards the cafeteria and said, "Master Luo is my master and mentor. When I first summoned the Phoenix Blood Harp, a sound of the harp was emitted, and then Master Luo suddenly appeared in front of me and said directly, he wants to take me as his apprentice. What can I do facing such a big shot?" He shrugged and said, "I can only agree." "Oh, indeed, me too. It was the same for me at that time." The deputy city lord appeared in front of me and said that he wanted to take me as his apprentice. Lin Qingjun nodded, put a hand on his brother's shoulder, and said, "We are brothers after all. We have experienced similar things." The corner of Lin Qingyang's mouth twitched. Damn it, the deputy city lord was directly squeezed out by his younger brother. "By the way, brother, what is Master Luo's rank in the academy?" "Master Luo's surname is Luo. He is my master, so I call him Master Luo. He never told me his real name, but I seem to have heard that the principal's surname is also Luo. Good fellow, good fellow. Who dares to bully me in my academy when I have this brother?" Lin Qingjun put his hands on his hips and laughed with his head tilted back, totally losing his image. "Come on. Master Luo has nothing else except the zither." Lin Qingyang patted his brother's head and said, "We're at the cafeteria." Walking into the cafeteria, Lin Qingjun directly picked the most expensive ones, which made Lin Qingyang's eyelids twitch. "My goodness, you are so cruel. I didn't dare to spend much money at that time. But fortunately I am rich now." Then, before leaving, Lin Qingjun took some desserts and stuffed them into his pocket, then turned back and said to his elder brother, "Brother, if you don't want to kneel on the washboard, buy some desserts for Master Luo." Oh. Lin Qingyang also tends to listen to his younger brother. The two of them came and sat down next to Emperor Shi and started eating. But not long after, two women sat next to the three men. Lin Qingjun's attention was instantly attracted by the huge waves. My eyes were fixed on the big wave. And the one with the big wavy hair was none other than the blonde girl with the big wavy hair from a few weeks ago. The latter felt someone was looking at him and turned around to look. I was stunned for a moment, then covered my mouth and said in disbelief, "It's you, that little pervert." Chapter 28. Another woman also turned around and said in surprise, "Hey, it's really you. What a coincidence. I meet you here." "No. Who are you calling a pervert?" Lin Qingyang put down the spoon and turned to look. Then he was stunned and stared. "Fei Shasha? He Xiaochun? What a coincidence." The two women tilted their heads and looked over. Then a look of surprise appeared on their faces. Brother Qingyang X2 puff. Lin Qingjun almost spit out the food in his mouth. He raised his head and looked at his brother in disbelief. "Brother, do you two know each other?" Lin Qingyang nodded and smiled. "I went back to school once a few years ago and helped them both." Lin Qingjun opened his mouth. "That's too intimate, isn't it? You've even called me brother." As he said this, he crossed his arms over his chest, pouted his lips, and shook his body. "Get lost, and be more careful about your appearance outside." Lin Qingyang raised his hand and glared at his brother. Brother Qingyang, this little pervert and you are..." He Xiaochun looked at Lin Qingyang and pointed at Lin Qingjun. Lin Qingyang smiled and stretched out his hand, saying, Let me introduce you. This is my younger brother, Lin Qingjun, and the one next to him is his contracted spirit. Oh, Faishasha, and the other person nodded. But why is there such a big difference between you and your brother? He is so lustful. Last time he was staring at Sasha. Xiaochun said somewhat angrily. TSK, what do you mean there's a big gap between me and my brother? My brother is a reserved person. He looks serious on the surface, but he's actually a B***** inside. Before Lin Qingjun could finish his words, a chicken but was stuffed into his mouth. Do you know the saying that dirty laundry should not be aired in public? Ugh, brother. You actually let me suck your chicken butt. I'm not done with you. After they finished their meal, they separated. On the way, Lin Qingjun looked at his brother and said, Brother, you have good luck with women. How many girls have you met along the way? Let me count, 4. I met 4 today alone. What about the ones outside? There must be more than 10. If you have so many girls, why don't you take one home? Look how anxious you make your mother. Lin Qingyun couldn't stand it anymore, so he slapped his brother on the head and said, Can you please be quiet? I don't have that kind of relationship with them, and I don't like them either. TSK, you should go see your master. If you don't go now, you might get beaten. Yes, yes, yes. I can't afford Master Luo's rage. I bow down. After saying that, Lin Qingyun ran away. Cut. Lin Qingjun shrugged and walked back to his residence. As soon as he returned to the house, Shitty asked, Master, why do you bow to that woman? Lin Qingjun turned around, touched her hair, and said, I am respecting my elders. Isn't it normal for a younger generation to respect their elders? Shirdi slapped his hand away, stared into Lin Qingjun's eyes and said seriously, Respect, elder? Is she worthy? There is no one in the world who deserves my respect. So, have you ever respected your elder sister? Lin Qingjun came to the sofa and sat down, looking at Shirdi and sitting down. The latter was about to open his mouth, but it was as if his words were stuck and he couldn't utter a word. If you had known how to respect others, you wouldn't have been nailed to the hall, and I wouldn't have been kicked into this world by you. Lin Qingjun fumbled in his pocket for a while, took out a dessert and said, Don't eat it. Shirdi was silent for a while, then took the dessert and started eating it in small bites. On the other side, Lin Qingyun ran into a small forest. Then we walked forward for a distance and entered a wide open space. Master Luo sat on the stone bench in the yard, stroking the guqin. Lin Qingyun smiled and walked forward, saying, Master Luo, Before he finished speaking, he saw a thorn branch placed on the stone table next to him. He swallowed his saliva, thinking that if this thing hit him, he would probably lose his soul. My brother, you are amazing. Qingyun, what are you talking about? Master Luo placed his hands on the zither and said to Lin Qingyun with his back to him. The latter took out a dessert from his pocket and placed it in front of Master Luo, saying with a smile, Master Luo, I think you haven't eaten anything, so I brought you some desserts. Do you like it? Master Luo glanced at the dessert, waved his hand to put away the thorn branches and said, Play a song first. I want to hear if you have regressed in these years. Okay. Lin Qingyun smiled, summoned the Fengling blood harp and began to play it. I muttered to myself, my brother is really amazing. Master Luo is harder to fool than my mother. I didn't expect that he could be solved by a dessert. Gaga. The next day, Lin Qingjun came to the classroom and was then taken to the school square by Teacher Zhong. Lin Qingjun stood in the front row and looked around and behind him. There were a lot of people, more than the hundreds who had come before. Moreover, the person on the other side seemed to be an old man. Still in the cocoon of old students at this time, Lu Xining walked to the podium and said, Everyone, you have also noticed that the people on your right are old students. Their realm is still in the cocoon solid realm. This time, they will go to the outside of the city with you to participate in the trial. We also made changes in this trial. Each of you will get a token to record points later. This token can record every exotic beast you hunt and give points based on the different exotic beasts. The top 50 students will receive rewards. Moreover, this trial will be extended to 1 month. Wow, as soon as Lu Xining finished her speech, the whole audience was in an uproar. Push the time to 1 month? Doesn't that mean I have to stay outside the city for a month? That won't do. It's extremely dangerous outside the city. I don't want to become food for strange beasts. Coward, if you are afraid, don't come to the Contractor Academy. We are here to become the pillars of resistance against alien beasts in the future. How can we waste time here? Yes, it's just a month. It's okay even if you stay for a year. But when we compare ourselves with the old students, they have been in the academy for such a long time. They must have reached the critical point of breakthrough. How can we compare with them? Some people expressed their dissatisfaction and protest. Lu Xining patted the desk and shouted, "Quiet! No matter how good the old students are, they are just at the same level as you. Their strength is just a little bit stronger than yours. Let's not waste any more time and head to the trial site now." After saying that, he summoned his contracted spirit and shouted, "Students participating in the trial, get on the snake." Everyone jumped onto the snake's back one after another. Before leaving, Lin Qingjun looked at Instructor Zhong and asked, "Is there a chance of death in this trial?" Zhong Feng nodded, looked around, leaned closer and whispered, "Yes, even if we have strictly handled the beasts, there will always be accidents, and these students have no combat experience, so there will naturally be a mortality rate." Lin Qingjun fell silent after hearing this and jumped onto the snakes. Back. Chapter 29. The existence of a mortality rate means that it is not absolutely safe. But think about it. The flowers in the greenhouse need to experience wind and rain before they can become tough. Those who can't survive will naturally be abandoned. The college cannot afford to keep idle people. After getting on the snake, he and 4 other classmates, including Ida, searched on the snake's back for a while before they finally found Li Bai. Lin Qingjun said, "Tai Bai, why don't you invite the people in your class to join us?" Li Bai shook his head and said, "We have different ideas and cannot get along with each other." Oh, Lin Qingjun nodded. Although he didn't know how Li Bai got along with the people in his class, judging from their attitudes, they probably couldn't get along well. Time passed quickly, and after more than 10 minutes, Tongue Snake arrived above the tall city wall. When everyone looked down, they could see that there were many soldiers guarding the city wall. The contracted spirits of these soldiers are always by their side, keeping a vigilant eye on their surroundings. Suddenly, a white light appeared in front of him, and then spread out to form a circle large enough for a flying snake to pass through. The Ting snake flew over and the aperture closed. Within 100 meters outside the city is a desert, and 100 meters beyond are large towering jungles, mountains, etc. Lin Qingjun looked outside. His eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but spread his arms and smiled. The world outside is so vast and beautiful. In his previous world, he was just an idler in a city, working in a milk tea shop every day, living a 996 life. Not to mention going out to the province, he has barely even left the city. It's really beautiful, but also dangerous. Li Bai also opened his arms, but closed his eyes, and no one knew what he was thinking. Not long after, Tangsha carried everyone to a place above an area and stopped. "Here is the trial area. Draw a circle from here to there. It's safe." Lu Xining pointed to the hilltop in the distance, then pointed here, drew a circle and continued, "Okay, the trial will officially begin when you all land." The students nodded and waited for landing. But after waiting for a while, he didn't see the Tong snake landing, so he couldn't help but look at Lu Xining. The latter snapped his fingers. Tong snake flipped its huge body, and everyone was thrown down in confusion or at a loss. These students screamed and groaned. F***K. "Teacher Lu, this is too much." He didn't even say hello. Lin Qingjun shouted in the air. Li Bai turned to look at him and shouted, "What should we do? It must be very painful if we fall." Lin Qingjun stretched out his hand and shouted, "Everyone hold hands and watch me operate." After hearing that, they didn't say much and just held hands. When all 6 people had a firm grip, a faint blue light flashed in the eyes of Lin Qingjun and Shirdi in front of him, and then the 7 people disappeared into the air with a whoosh. Then it appeared directly on an open space on the ground. Just half a minute after they came out, the rest of the students fell to the ground one after another. I hit the ground with my crotch. Ahaha, I was bought by a stick." For a while, screams were heard one after another. Lin Qingjun waved his hand and said, "Let's go. We have to hurry up and try to get all 6 of us into the top 10. Go, go, go. You young dog. Isn't it a dead dog?" The 7 people quickly left here and ran away. A woo. And every time they walked for a while, they could hear wolf howls all around them. Damn. Are these canines' noses so sharp? Lin Qingjun cursed. If there was one beast he least wanted to fight, the first one would be the one with thick skin and flesh, and the second one would be the wolf. There's nothing I can do. My nose is too sensitive, and I still hold a grudge. What should I do? Should I go or not? Luo Penghao looked at the figures that appeared one after another and summoned his contracted spirit. Others also summoned their own contracted spirits. Is it a breakout or a direct attack? These are all points. Yu Yunlong released dozens of his ant soldiers, looking somewhat excited. Are these wolves scared of all his ant soldiers? Lin Qingjun used his space-time crystal eye to observe Jihu briefly and said, I remember the strange beast that teacher Zhong mentioned. This scorpion wolf looks like a wolf, but it has no hair on its neck and its tail is a scorpion's tail. Delivers a short-term anesthesia shot. Get to the point. Li Bai gripped the sword tightly, with a burning fighting spirit in his eyes. The alien beasts are naturally stronger than us humans. Usually, it takes 2 or 3 people to deal with an alien beast of the same level. However, these scorpion wolves are not even first-level alien beasts, but there are many of them, at least 1,000 of them, but it can be dealt with. The weak point is at the neck. Be careful not to get stabbed by the tail needle. Heh, what are you careful about? With your help, these little dogs can't touch me at all. As Li Bai spoke, he rushed forward holding Wan Shangfeng. Ly roar, a big golden bird and a white wolf rushed out, fighting with these scorpion wolves. Hey, 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 a series of uniform voices came out from the mouths of the ant soldiers next to Yu Yunlong. They fearlessly rushed towards a scorpion wolf and started a group fight. Seeing this, Lin Qingjun looked at Shirdi beside him and said, Sure, aren't you going to take action? The latter said with a frown, No, this strange beast is not worth my effort. All right. Lin Qingjun nodded, said no more, and concentrated on assisting everyone. Above the sky, Lu Xining stood on the snake's head and looked at the situation below. I couldn't help but shake my head. It's really a mess. He doesn't even have a sense of crisis. His moves are disorganized and his aura is disordered. Suddenly, he saw Lin Qingjun's side. A light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Okay. Oh, who is Xiaoying talking about? At this moment, a figure appeared out of nowhere beside him, walking in the air. This figure was none other than City Lord Wei. When Lu Xining saw the visitor, she immediately bowed and said respectfully, My lord, I have observed a man with exceptional leadership abilities. City Lord Wei's calm face showed a little more interest and asked, Oh, good leadership skills? Who? Lu Xining pointed at Lin Qingjun, who was directing everyone below. City Lord Wei glanced over, and his eagle-like eyes narrowed slightly. It's this little guy. Lu Xining smiled and said, You should know this kid, right? He is the SSS-level contract spirit owner, Lin Qingjun. I have observed this student's psychological endurance, reaction ability, insight, and command ability. All of these are very good, but the only shortcoming is that he doesn't have many offensive means. Upon hearing this, City Lord Wei shook his head. Look at the Emperor of Time below. Does Lin Qingjun really have no means of attack? Perhaps he personally doesn't. Lu Xining couldn't help but smile awkwardly when she saw City Lord Wei shaking his head. He took a few steps back and stood respectfully. Although he didn't know why this lord left the City Lord's mansion and came here. But when the City Lord does something, no one else needs to be suspicious. Chapter 30. Below, Lin Qingjun scanned the surroundings with his crystal eyes, assisting several people. Tai Bai, be careful to the right, and help Peng Hao after you resolve it. Yu Yanlong, your ant soldiers are too fragile. Don't let them scatter. Good. They were well prepared, but the other students were different. These students are just students, nothing, and have no combat experience at all. They were simply beaten and fled. The old students were better off, having gone through several trials, but there were simply too many scorpion wolves, leaving them with little ability to fight back and causing them to be defeated frequently. At this time, in a team of freshmen, several scorpion wolves approached the freshmen step by step with their teeth bared. There was a creepy gurgling sound coming from his mouth. At this moment, a freshman gritted his teeth, suppressed the fear in his heart, and rushed forward with a shield raised. He rushed into the wolf pack recklessly and started to attack them. But the scorpion wolves dodged easily. A scorpion wolf stretched out its claws to attack, but was hesitant because of the freshman's shouting and powerfulness. A female student in the team saw this and thought that this student had scared the wolves and couldn't help but cheer for him. When the student heard the female classmates cheering for him, the fear in his heart subsided a lot. Then he began to launch more fierce attacks on these scorpion wolves. The scorpion wolves were smart and didn't confront him head-on. Before long, the student was exhausted. A scorpion wolf shot out a sting from its tail and pierced the man's foot. A feeling of paralysis froze the student in place. Several scorpion wolves pounced forward and knocked the student to the ground. Then they cut his throat and began to eat his body. He was killed without even a scream. A group of students at the back screamed. The female student who was cheering just now did not scream. Instead, he summoned his contracted spirit, which was a bow. He drew the bow and arrow and shot it with a whoosh. But because of nervousness and fear, He missed the target and shot instead near a scorpion wolf. The scorpion wolf's pupil shrank, and it let out an angry roar before turning and pouncing on the group of freshmen. This group of freshmen had no way to defend themselves and were frightened and fled in all directions. Such things happened frequently, and screams were heard everywhere. But this group of freshmen are not without courage. Li Feng saw these scorpion wolves approaching step by step. Although I felt a little scared, I was not afraid. He summoned a violent fire ape and shouted behind him, "Go ahead. What are you afraid of? Just go ahead." After saying that, he activated his violent skill and let out a roar. His already burly body suddenly expanded to 2 meters and 5. His shirt was torn, for fangs grew out of his mouth, and flames came out of his whole body. The violent fire ape next to it also roared, its eyes red, and its body, which was already more than 3 meters tall, stretched up another section, and flames rose from its fiery red hair. One man and one King Kong pounded their chests and rushed towards several scorpion wolves. With one punch, the scorpion wolf's chest was flattened and its bones were shattered. Then he directed himself to the next target and chased after him. Li Feng's classmates looked at each other, summoned their contracted spirits, transformed into muscular monsters, and rushed out. The biggest feature of the beast-type contract spirit is its strengthened body. Coupled with the amplified skills, it can completely fight with strange beasts in close combat. As for the weapon soul, everyone can guess it without having to talk about it. The humanoid type is a contract with one person. Lin Qingjun, who was standing behind several people and directing the battle in the distance, heard the screams and couldn't help but look back. Suddenly his eyes opened, because the scorpion wolf pack has surrounded all the students behind them, and they are being conquered by the scorpion wolves little by little. Fortunately, there are a few strong people among the crowd, but they were only a minority and could not hold out for long against the large number of scorpion wolves. Just as he was about to turn around, Emperor Shi said, "Why should we care about such an inferior race?" Lin Qingjun said seriously, "No matter how upset I am, as human beings, I cannot watch them die in front of me." After saying that, he shouted to the 5 people, "Quickly deal with the wild dog in front of you, and go back to help the other students." Li Taibai nodded, and blue flames rose from Luan Shangfeng, then slashed at the scorpion wolf in front of him at a strange angle. With a puff, the wolf's head flew high. Li Taibai did a backflip and came in front of Lin Qingjun, rushing forward to clear the way for him. Qian Hongjie and his other 3 were not to be outdone. They quickly dealt with the enemy in front of them and quickly followed Lin Qingjun's pace. Above the sky, Lu Xining narrowed her eyes and asked, "You actually went back to save others? Do you have the ability to do so? Or are you just being a hero?" City Lord Wei stood in the air, his eyes fixed on Lin Qingjun. Li Bai led the way below and soon arrived in front of the crowd. Lin Qingjun shouted loudly, "Don't panic, everyone. Follow my instructions." However, in this panic, almost no one listened to him. "Damn, are you deaf?" Although Lin Qingjun cursed, his eyes still flashed blue light. Suddenly, he looked at Li Taibai and the others and said, "Go save them first." Several people nodded. "Spread out and go rescue people." Li Bai ran in one direction alone. Qian Hongjie and 3 others ran in another direction. The 4 of them were still afraid of the scorpion wolves at first, but after Lin Qingjun's command, they were not so afraid of them anymore. Not long after, when Mengda came to him riding a cold wolf with a man. After briefly telling him about that, he rode the wolf again. Lin Qingjun looked at the man named Sun Ping and said, "Really? Your contracted spirit is a trumpet?" Sun Ping touched the report and said proudly, "My contracted spirit is a B-level Duan Jinzhong. If you take off the cover, it becomes a speaker, which can emit 10 times the sound of its own. It is correct to call it a speaker." "Great, bring the speaker over here." Lin Qingjun stretched out his hand. Sun Ping did not hesitate to hand over the loudspeaker, which was given to him by Duan Ganzhou. Lin Qingjun took a deep breath while holding Duan Jinzhong and yelled, "It's all cold, shut up now." Boom. The sound was so loud that the entire forest was filled with his voice. Hearing this sound, everyone instinctively quieted down. "Looked over here." Lin Qingjun came to a tree with a loudspeaker and said, "Everyone, don't panic. Be quiet for a while. If you continue to panic like this, you will all die. Then what should we do? Should we just run away and wait to be eaten by the wolves? Yes, these wolves are so scary. What are we waiting for?" Someone raised a question, and then the group started to make a fuss again. "Damn it, why is it so difficult?" Lin Qingjun cursed inwardly and yelled again. "And Jing, do you understand? You all want to die. don't you? The more panicked you are, the faster you will die. Listen to my command. Aren't you the Lin Qingjun who has a contract with an SSS-level contract spirit? What do you mean by contracting an SSS-level spirit? Why didn't we old students hear anything? Since it's Lin Qingjun, we will trust you this time and follow your instructions. Chapter 31. Some people signed a contract with an SSS-level spirit for Lin Qingjun and began to voice their opinions that they would listen to Lin Qingjun. I don't know whether he had any intention to please others, but there must be someone who wanted his fame. Lin Qingjun breathed a sigh of relief, then took the Duan Jinzhong and continued. 10 people form a group, with the tank in front, the damage in the middle, and the support in the back. Don't be anxious or panic. These scorpion wolves are only at the cocoon solid state. No, everyone can handle it. Then he talked about the scorpion wolf's attack methods and weaknesses. Hundreds of students nodded and began to arrange themselves into groups according to what Lin Qingjun said. There are 10 people in a group, with the tank in front, the output in the middle, and the support in the back. This is the most basic battle formation. Pay more attention to the sides and don't focus all your attention on the front, Lin Qingjun said again. Not far away, a team was facing 10 scorpion wolves. The 2 scorpion wolf tails shot out numbing needles, but were blocked. Then the 2 scorpion wolves approached forward step by step with their fangs bared. At this time, Lin Qingjun's voice came. Watch your sides. A male student looked to the side while reciting in his mind. Suddenly, I noticed that there were 4 scorpion wolves sneaking up on me from each side. F***K. There's a wolf nearby. Be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, the scorpion wolves on both sides launched an attack. Fortunately, they were discovered and blocked in time, and then killed these scorpion wolves, but some people were injured. The auxiliary treatment can also be timely to repair the injury quickly. In this way, everyone has calmed down and tried to fight back. Soon most of the scorpion wolves were killed, and they retreated step by step with their teeth bared. When a few people wanted to press on and pursue the victory, Lin Qingjun's voice came over. Stop. Don't chase after the desperate enemy. There will be even bigger trouble later, Lin Qingjun said as he looked around with his light blue eyes. A group of scorpion wolves that have not reached the cocoon's solid state cannot survive in this world of strange beasts where the strong prey on the weak. There must be greater danger in the nearby woods. Rest where you are, get treatment if you are injured, and stay in the best condition. All the students nodded after hearing this, and then sat down. Oh my, I finally solved it. I almost thought I was going to die, a student said. Another student nodded. That's right, luckily Lin Qingjun is here, otherwise we don't know if we can survive. Alas, I just came to the trial and encountered such a thing. What should I do in the future? I still have to maintain it for a month. Ugh, at this moment, a vomiting sound was heard not far away. A few people looked over and saw a female student vomiting after looking at a corpse that had been eaten to the point of not looking like a human. Not only this one, almost all the students vomited. A small number of them are psychologically abnormal or have strong psychological qualities, but even so, these people also feel nauseous. I just felt extremely sick. It is normal to vomit when seeing people being bitten beyond recognition. Even if you have a strong mental state, you will still feel uncomfortable and nauseous. Above the sky, Lu Xining looked at the crowd below and nodded. The effect of sharpening has begun to take effect. Moreover, Lin Qingjun's command ability is really good. If it weren't for him, half of the people would have died this time. As he spoke, he looked at City Lord Wei next to him and said, Lord City Lord, what do you think of this student? City Lord Wei looked at Lin Qingjun below and said, Not bad. Below, Li Feng had returned to his original appearance, lying on the ground receiving treatment. Suddenly, he looked at Lin Qingjun on the branch, murmuring in his mouth, Is this the real genius? Li Taibai dragged a scorpion wolf that was not yet dead to the tree where Lin Qingjun was standing and said, You haven't earned a single point yet, right? This is just for you. Lin Qingjun's mouth twitched, and he jumped down from the tree and killed the scorpion wolf tenderly, saying, With just this one scorpion wolf, how can I rank with such a small number of points? When I go back, I will protest and strongly demand that auxiliary personnel can also get points. You said there will be troubles later? What are they? Li Bai asked. Lin Qingjun looked at the darkness in the forest with his blue eyes and said, Because there are hunters waiting for prey in the darkness. Have you ever thought about how a group of scorpion wolves that have not reached the cocoon solid state can be here? How can you survive in a world where the strong prey on the weak? Relying on numbers is a pipe dream. Upon hearing this, Li Bai nodded thoughtfully. Half an hour later, under the tree, Lin Qingjun opened his eyes, flashed to the tree, and said with a Duan Jin Zhong in his hand, "Everyone, get up and prepare for battle. Danger is coming." As soon as he finished speaking, green lights appeared in the dark forest. Since the prey didn't take the bait, the hunter could only fight head-on. Ouch, ouch, ouch. The sound of wolf howls was heard. This time the wolf howled even more powerfully than last time. Scorpion wolves walked out of the forest with green eyes and bared teeth. Although the number of scorpion wolves this time was less than half of the last time, the aura emanating from these scorpion wolves was clearly that of the cocoon's solid realm. The power of the alien beast is obvious to all. Only two humans of the same level can barely deal with an alien beast of the same level. On the tree, Lin Qingjun narrowed his eyes slightly. He saw the brief past. It was a bit tragic, but only a few dozen people died. Everyone, gather around me like a tree. Those who are seriously injured and cannot leave the station stand in the center with the assistants. The damage output stands in the middle to surround the assistants, and the meat shields stand outside to ensure that everyone is surrounded. Everyone work together to fight the aliens. Beast. Work together. The students shouted as they moved. Roar. At this time, a huge wolf howl was heard. A four-legged brown scorpion wolf that was twice as big as the others walked out with a cold gaze. Lin Qingjun's eyes fixed. The brown-footed scorpion wolf is the king of the scorpion wolf pack. The strength is twice that of an ordinary scorpion wolf. He exhaled lightly, looked at the Emperor Shi beside him, and said, "It's your turn now. You will take care of that brown-footed scorpion wolf." The latter crossed his arms and snorted. How can someone save someone by getting himself into trouble? I won't help you. Lin Qingjun smiled bitterly, raised one hand and rubbed her ice-blue hair, saying, "Well, just go and solve it. I'm here for the trial. The trial is to hone myself. How can I do it otherwise? Growth, right? If I don't grow, how can you recover your strength? Right, dear?" Pa, the Emperor of Time, slapped his hand open and said, "It is hopeless. I will take action this time, but I want to tell the Lord that you may have mercy, but it is foolish to sacrifice yourself. I am a member of the Holy Beast clan of time and space. The second of the three great empresses, who has ruled over thousands of people, knows this truth very well." After saying that, she jumped down and ran straight towards the brown-footed scorpion wolf. Lin Qingjun rubbed the tip of his nose and said with a smile, "That Lu Duo's mouth trick is really cool." Although he was smiling, there was a thoughtful look in his eyes. Is it stupid to get yourself involved? Chapter 32. Shi Di jumped down from the tree and ran straight towards the brown-footed scorpion wolf. 18 chains appeared behind him, and without any nonsense, he attacked the brown-footed scorpion wolf directly. The leader was restrained, and the other scorpion wolves were clueless and could only act on instinct. At the same time, these first-level scorpion wolves became no different from the ordinary scorpion wolves before, except that they were stronger and smarter. But it's not impossible to deal with. Lin Qingjun stood on a tree branch, watching the situation below and giving advice from time to time, or using the power of time and space to help. At the same time, keep an eye on the fighting scene on Shi Di's side. Looking at the stable situation, he wiped the sweat from his forehead and let out a breath. It's stabilized. After experiencing hardships, you will grow a lot, and your mind will become mature imperceptibly. That's what these people are like. I was originally afraid, but now I am just trying to cope with it. Lin Qingjun couldn't help but look up at the sky. He always felt that someone had deliberately left everyone near the scorpion wolf's den. Of course, it's just a feeling, or it could be a coincidence. A few minutes later, oh whoa, not far away, the brown-footed scorpion wolf made a sound similar to a call. Everyone looked over. Then he found a beautiful girl in light blue clothes standing in front of the brown-footed scorpion wolf. The chains behind her had already entangled the brown-footed scorpion wolf. The strong squeezing feeling made the brown-footed scorpion wolf feel uneasy. Hearing the roar, the attacking scorpion wolves reacted, and those close to the brown-footed scorpion wolf king wanted to turn around and go to support the wolf king. Lin Qingjun immediately issued an order. Output support immediately, don't let them help. Hearing his voice, the output assistant immediately took action to restrain the scorpion wolf. After a burst of intensive attacks, most of the scorpion wolves stopped, but a few still rushed out. Lin Qingjun waved his hand and said, "Li Taibai, Li Feng, Luo Penghao. Anyone who is fast enough should go to support us." Li Taibai didn't waste any words. He tiptoed, jumped onto the back of a scorpion wolf, and then jumped high into the air. Cry. A big golden bird flew over his head, grabbed his shoulders with a pair of sharp claws, and flew quickly towards the direction of Emperor Shi. Boom! Li Feng knocked a scorpion wolf away, turned around and jumped towards the direction of Time Emperor with the violent fire ape at a speed of several meters. But even if they rushed over with all their might, it was still too late. Dozens of scorpion wolves had already arrived at a position less than 10 meters away from the Time Emperor. At this moment, Emperor Shi suddenly turned around, glared with his beautiful eyes, opened his mouth and shouted, "Get out of here!" The sound was extremely intimidating. It directly stopped dozens of scorpion wolves. It made a whimpering sound like a mourning dog. Then he turned and stared at the brown-footed scorpion wolf, waving his hand. The chains burst out with an even stronger binding force, blackmailing it. The brown-footed scorpion wolf had fierce eyes and opened its mouth to roar. After hearing this voice, the fear in the scorpion wolf's heart mostly subsided, and the fierceness in his eyes reappeared. He pounced towards the Emperor of Time with bared teeth. Boom! At this moment, a fist as big as a small pot fell down and knocked a scorpion wolf away. Li Feng landed behind Shi Di and blocked the scorpion wolf's way. The scorpion wolves wanted to turn around and go to the other side, but they were blocked by a sword energy that fell from the sky. Li Taibai sat there, swung his sword and said, "No way." Woohoo! Several scorpion wolves took a few steps back, fear flashing in their eyes. "Ah!" The brown-footed scorpion wolf in front roared again. But not much was shouted out. 2 chains were tied around his mouth and neck. "It's too noisy, be quiet." The Emperor raised his hand and pressed down. With a loud bang, the brown-footed scorpion wolf fell directly to the ground. The limbs, body, tail, and head were all tied tightly. Then the Emperor of Time raised one hand again. His icy pupils emitted a faint blue light, and the power of time and space was quickly consumed. The 18 chains became shiny and glossy. Swish! The Emperor waved his hand again. 18 chains moved at the same time, squeezing the body of the brown-footed scorpion wolf and pulling its limbs, head, and tail. Crunch! The sound of flesh being squeezed could be clearly heard. Sizzle! The brown-footed scorpion wolf directly dismembered the body with 18 chains. Woohoo! Seeing the Wolf King being killed, several scorpion wolves took a few steps back and then fled decisively. It made some kind of wolf howling sound when it ran. This led the other scorpion wolves to jump together. Seeing the scorpion wolves running away, the students looked at each other and then began to cheer. Some people wanted to press on with the victory, but were stopped by Lin Qingjun. Shidi drove the chain and took out a bead that was half the size of a palm. The inner elixir of a strange beast. Shi Di opened his little mouth and directly sucked away the energy from the alien beast's inner elixir. Then he came to Lin Qingjun and said, "It's solved." He said no more. The former smiled, raised his hand and rubbed her hair. "Not bad, not bad, well done." Shi Di raised his hand and patted his hand, glared at Lin Qingjun, and then turned his head away. Li Taibai came up to him and said with a smile, "Not bad. How about your command ability?" "Oh, what are you bragging about? You can't even get a few points." "Oh, you." He was halfway through his words when his vision suddenly went dark and he staggered a few steps. Li Taibai was startled and hurried forward to help. "Are you okay?" "It's okay. I overused the power of time and space. I just need to rest for a while." Lin Qingjun waved his hand, canceled the crystal eye, and said, "Arrange them to clean up the battlefield. The smell of blood will attract other beasts." "Okay, you take a rest first." Li Bai helped him sit down under a tree, and then went on to make arrangements. Emperor Shi sat next to Lin Qingjun, pointed his index finger at his forehead, and transferred a small amount of time and space power to him. This made Lin Qingjun feel better. Why would the Lord overdraw his power for people who have nothing to do with him? Shi Di asked doubtfully. Lin Qingjun thought for a moment and asked, "If your people were threatened with death, would you save them?" Emperor Shi looked up at the sky, which was already somewhat dark, and said, "It depends on the situation. If it is harmful to me, I will ignore it. If it is beneficial to me, I will do my best." Lin Qingjun turned his head to look at her beautiful face, smiled bitterly and said, "You are living for yourself in everything you say. So what? Isn't there a saying among human beings? If a man does not work for himself, he will be punished by heaven and earth." After saying this, Shi Di looked at the ground and said nothing more. Lin Qingjun was also speechless and didn't know what to say. But he always felt that Emperor Shi had a lot of secrets. A few dozen minutes later, Li Taibai came to him, threw out a ring and said, "We have discussed it and are giving you some spoils of war." Lin Qingjun took the ring and looked at it and said curiously, Could this be the legendary Qingjun ring? Yoshi. What? This is a ring made of space gemstones. It can hold a lot of things. Miley Family Chamber of Commerce is engaged in this business. Space gem? There is such a mine? Lin Qingjun's eyes were shining. This world is really full of wonders. Li Taibai shook his head and said, this is a product left behind by space ability users. Space ability users have it, but their contracted spirits are too low, so they can only do this kind of industrial business. Oh, I see, that's not bad. Chapter 33. Lin Qingjun staggered a few steps, stood up, and looked around. Many people died again, but that's how it is. No one is immortal. And after going through a timeline, he is not so afraid of death. Everyone, pack up and go to the water source to wash off the blood on your bodies, and then spend the night there. After saying this, he motivated everyone to take action. Above the sky, Lu Xining nodded. I originally thought that there would be more casualties, but I didn't expect Lin Qingjun to come and command everyone, and many people survived. Lord City Lord, what do you think of this child? City Lord Wei said nothing, just looking at Lin Qingjun's back below. Suddenly, he raised one hand and hooked his fingertips in the air. A strange beast that was more than 20 meters in size was dragged into the air as if it was caught by something. Lu Xining looked at the strange beast and glared. A beast at the peak of the broken solid realm? There are actually beasts above the cocoon's solid realm lurking inside. We have checked countless times, yet there are still some. Suddenly, he knelt down on one knee in front of City Lord Wei and said, I have failed to do my job well. Please punish me, Lord City Lord. Lord Wei shook his head and waved his hand. This strange beast that broke through the solid realm instantly turned into blood mist floating in the air. It's not your fault. Nothing is absolute. Get up. Thank you, City Lord, for not killing me. Lu Xining stood up, feeling a little scared. If these students were to encounter a monster at the peak of the solid breaking realm, not only would they be wiped out, but more than half of them would definitely be killed or injured. At that time, his punishment was even more severe. Alas, City Lord Wei sighed and looked into the depths of the distant forest. He shook his head and turned around and said, Find an opportunity to throw a few of the solidification realm in front of Lin Qingjun. Having said that, he disappeared in an instant. Just when Lu Xining thought she was talking to him and was about to receive orders, a dark shadow appeared next to him, then disappeared. He swallowed back the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He thought to himself, the night guard is nearby, and he wants to make things more difficult for Lin Qingjun? How smart is Lu Xining? She immediately understood the city lord's general intention. Intend to cultivate Lin Qingjun. What is night guard? Forget it, you will know what it means just by looking at the name. At 5 o'clock in the evening, Lin Qingjun and others arrived at the water source. Then everyone ran to clean the blood off their bodies. The strange beasts are extremely sensitive to the smell of blood, especially human blood. Tutor Zhongfeng taught the course. Humans are like the best treasures in the eyes of monsters. Eating a human can make their cultivation level soar. Although humans hate strange beasts, we have to admit that they also regard monsters as natural treasures. Therefore, human beings rely on exotic beasts for spiritual practice. They complement each other and harm each other, with absolutely no room for reconciliation. After cleaning up, we set up camp a few dozen meters away from the water source. Because no one knows what is in the water source at night. Sitting on the fire, roasting scorpion and wolf meat. One after another, students came to thank Lin Qingjun. The latter also accepted it with pleasure. We are all students. How can we be hypocritical? Of course, Lin Qingjun is a working man who has just entered his 20s. He stood up and shouted, I appreciate everyone's kindness, so please don't come to me anymore. There are so many people here. If they all come to thank me one by one, I don't know how long it will take to thank them all. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed. After laughing, sit down. Li Taibai looked at the roasted scorpion and wolf meat and said, Can we eat it now? I'm almost starving. Hen, we don't know how to roast meat. Yu Yunlong and others shrugged to indicate that they didn't know how to do that. Lin Qingjun said, It depends on me. I heard from my mother that if the meat is not scarlet, it is cooked. F***K, you're just talking nonsense. Who among us doesn't know that meat is cooked when it changes color? Luo Penghao said speechlessly. When Mengde nodded, We are worried about whether it is cooked. Taibai, take out your big sword and make a few cuts to see if it's cooked. Lin Qingjun waved his hand. Get lost. Li Taibai glared and said, Don't you have any weapons? You actually used my great sword? I promised my weapon spirit that it might not agree. Luan Bao, no, Sister Luan. What? I'm just borrowing you for a while. We're just cutting some meat. It's the same way we cut meat before, right? Just cut it for a while. Li Bai held the phoenix in his arms, stroked the sword, and smiled. Luan Shangfeng was originally unwilling to do this, but after receiving spiritual guidance from several people, she finally let it go. Li Bai took the sword and cut a few holes in the wound, and immediately the fragrant smell of meat rushed into the nostrils of several people. Ah, it smells so good, it's cooked. It should be cooked. It would be even better with some seasoning, Lin Qingjun said. Seasoning? I have it. I never put much seasoning on instant noodles before, but now it comes in handy, Yu Yunlong said while holding a packet of seasoning. Gaga, what are you waiting for? Let's eat. After they finished off an entire scorpion wolf, they patted their stomachs and strolled around the camp. Ah, the starry sky at night is beautiful. It would be even more beautiful if I could have such troubles every day, Lin Qingjun said, holding the back of his head with his hands crossed. Li Bai also looked up at the starry sky, raised one hand to block out the starlight, and raised the corner of his mouth. If I were 1,000 feet strong, I could definitely pick the sun, moon, and stars with my hands. Tisk, when you are weak you want to pick the stars with your hands. You are not afraid of dying young. The emperor sure sneered. Lin Qingjun was speechless. He raised his hand and gave her a slap on the forehead, saying, "This is called an ideal. Do you understand an ideal?" Ignoring the aggrieved look on Shidi's face, he looked at Li Taibai and said, "Taibai, you can't brag like that. How do you blow it? They say it's just bragging, the bigger the better. In the future, I must sit in a position thousands of times higher than the current 5 city lords. Pfft, this is a great idea, but I don't know if it can be realized. Hey, everyone says it's bullshit. Wow, huh? Is someone crying?" Qian Hongjia looked around and said, "There." Lin Qingjun pointed at the students at the back. "Wow, Dad, Mom, I miss you. I miss home. I want to go back so badly." "Me too. I miss home too." At first, only a few female students were crying, and later almost half of the students were crying. In the face of such things, it is rare for people not to cry. Ahaha, Lin Qingjun yawned and said, Okay, go to bed early. I guess there will be a lot of things waiting for us tomorrow." The next day arrived in a flash. After everyone finished washing up, they started talking about it. Lin Qingjun rubbed his chin. Now there are 2 choices. 1. Take Li Bai and a few others away from these people and do your own thing. 2nd, stay here and arrange everyone. Chapter 34. Lin Qingjun held his head with both hands and scratched it continuously. "It's so annoying. I don't know which way to go," Empress said beside him. "Just go. Why bother with them?" Lin Qingjun shook his head and said, "If I leave, these people will probably scatter, and then they will do something." The Emperor's eyes narrowed, and he grabbed his shoulders and said, "Lord, you are too kind. If you were an emperor or a dictator, this would only harm you." The Lord had helped them through a difficult time once, and it was impossible for him to help them a second time. If there is a second time, there will be a third and a fourth time. If there are more, they will not remember the Lord's kindness, and will criticize the Lord when he fails to protect them. Sometimes things should be cut off at some time. Lin Qingjun pursed his lips, looked at Li Taibai and the other 4 and said, "What do you think?" Li Taibai crossed his arms across his chest and said, "I think what my sister-in-law said is right. It's not good to be merciful, but I'm fine with it. I'll go wherever you go. As long as I can keep my top 5 ranking, that's fine." Qian Hongjia nodded and said, "Although I don't quite understand what my sister-in-law said. I think when there are too many people together, there will always be more problems." Swish, several chains suddenly appeared from behind them, catching the 2 men off guard and knocking them to the ground. Then he whipped her again and again. Empress looked at the 2 men with a frosty face. Why were they trying to accuse him of something he didn't admit? These 2 men really deserved to be beaten. The other 3 people shrank their necks and leaned back to express their general opinions. "Okay, let's go then. Besides, I feel uncomfortable being watched by so many people." Lin Qingjun nodded and stood up. It seemed that the helpful thinking in that world was a joke here. I walked out of the tent, looked at this group of students who were talking and laughing, with no sense of crisis, and shouted, "Gather together. Let's talk about something." All the students looked over. "What's up? Do you have any plans, Qingjun?" Yes. Do you have any plans for today?" "I wasn't in good shape yesterday, but today I'm full of energy." Looking at the high-spirited expressions of these people, Lin Qingjun sighed and said, There are 6 of us. No, 6 or 7. Forget it. Let's just call it 6. The 6 of us are leaving here. Go out and explore. Then can I come along? I can be of use too. Yes, I want to go too. Many people raised their hands to indicate that they wanted to follow. But Lin Qingjun shook his head and said, no one needs to follow me. Besides, no one seems to understand what I mean. What I mean is that I am leaving and will not return to this temporary camp. My role is just to command. We just got through this difficult time. Now that it's over, we're leaving too. When these words were spoken, many people's faces changed drastically. Why are you leaving? Can't we go together? There is strength in numbers. Let's hunt the monsters together. You can distribute the items. Someone tried to retain him. Lin Qingjun shook his head again. What is the purpose of the school throwing us into this area? Trial. What is a trial? A trial is a trial only when there is tempering. Having so many people is just a trick. After saying that, he turned around and left. Seeing Lin Qingjun and his companions leaving, some people tried to persuade them to stay, but it was of no avail. What? You're just leaving when you want to. You're so arrogant that you'll suffer for it sooner or later. Let the rest of us stay together so we can take care of each other. Humph, let's go too. There's really no point in staying here. Li Feng turned around and left with a few strong men. There were several other people who left as well, all of whom were quite confident in their own abilities. As they shuttled through the forest, the 6 people were thinking about their next move. Let's just go like this. We all hunt strange beasts and live wherever we go. Lin Qingjun pointed to the river in front of him and pointed upwards. If we go down this river, we will always meet some people who come to drink. A water monster. Li Taibai nodded. Yes, walk slowly to save energy. After saying that, the few of them slowed down. Although, with their current physical strength, they would be exhausted like dogs if they just ran fast without any weight for a whole day. They still had to save their energy to prevent any accidents. Just as they had not run far, they heard bubbles gurgling from the bottom of the water. Then with a splash, a huge mouth jumped out from the bottom of the river and bit Lin Qingjun. Oh no, Qing, hide quickly. Li Bai only had time to shout out. The huge mouth closed with a click. Several people suddenly stopped and looked carefully. It is a brown crocodile with a body size of only 10 meters, but there are skin folds on its neck connecting its hind legs, similar to the skin folds that open to both sides of the neck of a cobra when it is angry, but these are not skin folds, but harder skin. First, this strange crocodile smacked its mouth, not feeling any blood or the smell of any object. Oh my god, is this good luck or bad luck? A crocodile at the peak of the cocoon's solid state. The space next to Li Taibai twisted, and Lin Qingjun appeared next to him, looking at the crocodile and said. The former took out the Luan Shang Feng and looked at the crocodile in front of him warily. What should we do? Go straight in? Or? Lin Qingjun grinned and waved his hand, saying, if it dares to be mean to me, I will be mean to it too. I will eat it at noon. Come on, brothers. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Bai rushed out with his sword in hand. Luo Penghao summoned a big yellow bird, whose body changed into a half-bird man and rushed out. When Mengda did the same, he summoned the ice wolf, transformed his body into a half-werewolf and rushed out. Yu Yunlong summoned the queen ant, and then nearly a dozen ant soldiers. This is the case with the beast contractors, whose physical fitness is several times stronger than the other 2 contractors, and they are the contractors who mostly confront the strange beasts. Of course there are exceptions. Yu Yunlong is one of them. Qian Hongjie summoned a copper plate shining with golden light and used defensive skills. The weapon soul contractors are relatively complicated contractors. They are the auxiliary, the output, and the meat shield. They basically take on all the roles. The humanoid type may be able to cultivate several times faster than the other 2. It's just a possibility, because the uncertain factor is whether the contracted spirit is useless. Lin Qingjun opened his crystal eyes and watched the strange beast's next move, as well as the dangers lurking around it. At the same time, the power of time and space is ready to be used to assist at any time. Aoho, at this moment, the crocodile roared. Green light emanated from its mouth, and its body floated up. Suddenly, Lin Qingjun shouted fiercely, Taibai, Penghao, hide quickly. At the moment he shouted, the crocodile's huge and long tail shot out like a bow. Li Tai reacted in time and blocked the attack with his sword in front of him. But Luo Penghao was not so lucky and was knocked away. It hit the tree behind. This was not over yet. The crocodile raised its head and roared again. At this moment, Lin Qingjun shouted again, Mengda retreat. The moment he shouted, the crocodile turned around and headed towards one. Ida. Chapter 35. Boom. The crocodile's body, weighing several tons, fell directly to the ground in midair. Fortunately, the ice wolf knocked one Ida away before the crocodile hit him. Lin Qingjun breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this, turned to look at Luo Penghao, and felt relieved to see him stand up safely. Just when several people wanted to fight back, the crocodile opened its mouth wide, bit its tail and rolled it into a ball, and the leather armor on both sides closed together, basically turning it into a ball. Ding! Li Bai chopped down with his sword, making a sharp metallic knocking sound and causing pain in the palm of his hand. Oh my god! Why is it so hard? Li Bai hit the motionless crocodile with his sword. Lin Qingjun frowned and walked forward cautiously, saying, "This is too ridiculous. No wonder there are leather armors on both sides." Lin, you were serious in class. Do you have any solution? Luo Penghao walked up with his teeth bared, looking at the crocodile with extremely angry eyes, and it was obvious that he would not stop until he killed it. Others also gathered around and punched and kicked the crocodile, but to no avail. Lin Qingjun touched his chin and said, "Introduction to the crocodile." Mr. Zhong did not give too much description. He just said that if you encounter a crocodile in this form, you have to leave, because it is useless to continue. Unless there is no reason why he is one level higher than him. It's just that this guy is a loser. He has to hide like this if he can't win in a few moves. Li Taibai knocked on the skin. If we can reach the state of solidification, we can kill him instantly. For geniuses at SS level and above, they are invincible in the same realm, but they have to run away when facing opponents who are one major realm higher. There is no way. Being invincible in the same realm does not mean that you can cross the realm and kill the enemy. Can your chain crush it to death? Lin Qingjun looked at Shi Didao. The latter rolled his eyes and turned his head away without saying anything. Obviously not. Hey Yunlong, can't your ant soldiers release that acid? Let's give it a try. Me. Yunlong pointed at his nose and said, "My acid is powerful enough, but it can't break this leather armor." Never mind. Dig a hole first, fill it with acid, and then throw it in. Do what you say and act when you think of it. Several people started working immediately. After the ant soldiers dug a big hole, they began to spit into the hole. It's not called dehydration, it's called acidosis. The number of ant soldiers and their saliva were quite sufficient, and the basket was filled up in about 10 minutes. Then several people pushed the crocodile into the acid pool. With a plop, the crocodile fell in. Do you think this method will work? Yunlong looked at everyone and asked, "Why do you care if he succeeds? If he fails, you can just go find another beast." Lin Qingjun rolled his eyes and said, "Do you think you can fish this thing out of the saliva pool?" Gurgle gurgle. Just then, a few bubbles came out of the acid pool. Lin Qingjun, who had kept his crystal eyes open, immediately pulled everyone back. It really worked. Not long after, the acid pool exploded with a bang. The acid splashed into the air and then fell to the ground like raindrops. Any flowers or plants that come into contact with it make a hissing, corrosive sound. Roar! The crocodile climbed out of the pit and started retching. You damned humans can't imagine what I've been through. It's sore, but it also stinks. The look in his eyes when he looked at Lin Qingjun and others was extremely fierce. He opened his corroded mouth, and the green light around him condensed into several green energy bombs that shot towards Lin Qingjun and others. The latter quickly dodged. When Lin Qingjun saw the crocodile's mouth, he immediately laughed. "Ha ha ha, I'll let you K me. How does ant saliva taste?" Ha ha. Everyone laughed when they heard this. Roar. The crocodile's eyes were fierce, and although he didn't understand, he could get a general idea of the situation. "I can't stand laughing at it." Roared. The body flew into the air, then suddenly turned over and hit Lin Qingjun. The latter had already foreseen it and hurriedly avoided it. When the time comes, take action. When the emperor heard the words, he snorted and waved his hand. Several chains appeared around the crocodile's body, trapping its limbs, tail, and mouth. Activate attack. As soon as the words fell, Li Taibai and others immediately activated their skills and attacked the crocodile. Boom boom boom. After repeated bombings, the surface of the crocodile was basically intact. In other words, Li Taibai's attack had the greatest impact on it. Except for Lin Qingjun and Li Taibai, two people here have reached the third level of cocoon solid state, or infinitely reached the third level. But the turtle crocodile is at the peak of the third level of the cocoon solid state. But the turtle's shell is extremely hard. Lin Qingjun looked at the struggling crocodile and thought. Suddenly he remembered what Instructor Zhong had said about the crocodile's weak point, the crotch. When it's time, turn it around, Lin Qingjun said. It's wrong for you to aim at his crotch. Attack from the crotch. Dang dang, the Emperor of Time didn't waste any time and directly reversed it. Hey hey hey, Wen Mengda, Qian Hongjia, Luo Pinghao, and Yu Yunlong showed extremely obscene smiles under Li Taibai's puzzled gaze. They launched attacks one after another, aiming at the crocodile's crotch. Boom. Suddenly, the crocodile stared and struggled wildly. But there is no doubt that it is a futile effort. Just like that, the crocodile was in pain to death. Tisk, tsk, tsk, before he died, he still had his eyes open. It seems that he refused to die with his eyes in peace. Lin Qingjun kicked the crocodile in the head and said. Several people took out the inner elixir of the crocodile and continued to run up the river. As for the skin and meat of the crocodile, they are already contaminated. So how can they be used? They have no destination. They are just looking for strange animals to hunt. Finally, several people came to the foot of a mountain. The gurgling river flows down from this mountain. What? It's the end. Luo Penghao picked up a stone on the ground and threw it into the river. Then, let's go, we're all done. Yu Yunlong shrugged and turned to leave when Li Taibai suddenly shouted to stop. What's wrong? Did you find something? Everyone turned around and asked in confusion. Li Taibai closed his eyes and said, Listen, have you heard the sound of the river? No. Aren't you talking nonsense? Isn't there a river next to this place? Ahem. No, what I'm saying is, the sound of the waterfall is quite far away from us. Do you want to go take a look? Lin Qingjun raised his head and looked at Tiandao. You also said that it's quite far away. It's not far from dark now. Let's just stroll around here first and go there early tomorrow morning. Hearing this, Li Taibai nodded and left with everyone. Wandering in the jungle, Lin Qingjun kept scanning his surroundings. Suddenly he looked at a place. His eyes lit up and he said, This thing looks a bit like cocoa beans. With that said, he stepped forward and looked at the next one. After smelling it, his eyes lit up again. It's really true. He worked in a milk tea shop in the previous world, so he naturally understands these things. Cocoa beans? What are they? Can they be eaten? It can't be eaten now. It has to be processed and made into desserts or milk tea. Milk tea? What is that? Made with milk and tea? Luo Penghao said. No matter what you say, you are wrong. You will know when I make the thing. After Lin Qingjun finished speaking, he collected a large piece of cocoa beans. After walking some distance further, Lin Qingjun exclaimed again, Coffee beans! Oh my gosh, why is there such a thing here? Then he collected a large piece of coffee beans. Then after walking forward for a while, Lin Qingjun shouted again, Damn it, there's a cow. It's still a female, bah. Chapter 36. There are cows here? Lin Qingjun looked at the group of cows in front of him with some disbelief. These are called black and white cows. The female cows are responsible for defending against foreign enemies, and the male bulls are responsible for producing milk. Qian Hongjia thought for a while and said, What? Everyone looked at him in disbelief. You said that cows produce milk? That's fake. Whether a cow or a bull produces milk is the same as whether a hen or a rooster lays eggs. You are probably cheating. Yes, bragging should be done in advance. Qian Hongjia obviously knew that the others didn't believe him, so he pointed to a place where a bull could be mosaicked and said, Look for yourselves. Everyone looked intently. I found a little cow drinking milk under a bull. As for how it was caught by the bull, it was because the bull's big sword had never been retracted and was extremely dazzling. When they saw it clearly, they all looked dazed and opened their mouths, but didn't know what to say. I can only say F***K to express my feelings. Li Bai held the phoenix and said, So, should we go up and kill it or stay away? Lin Qingjun pondered for a while and said, I've eaten steak before, but I've never eaten cow steak. I'll have a treat today. After saying that, several people took action immediately. The highest strength of these cows is only the second level of cocoon solidification, which is enough to deal with them. When Lin Qingjun and others jumped out, the herd of cows were frightened, howling. At this time, the largest cow took a step forward, raised her head and cried out. The calf and the bull left and hid behind the cow, trembling. A group of mothers stood in a row and stared at Lin Qingjun and others with unfriendly eyes. The latter stopped at once. I say, this situation doesn't seem to be going well. Let's just fight it head on. Step, Lin Qingjun immediately turned around and ran, shouting as he ran. Run, the little cow is showing off. If you don't run, you will be killed. Upon hearing this, several people turned around and ran without hesitation. Moo moo, about 10 cows mooed a few times. Their eyes glowed red, and with a hiss, 2 streams of hot liquid spurted out of their nostrils and rushed straight towards Lin Qingjun and others. It wasn't long before the cows caught up. Seeing that the tip was about to enter the stock, several people couldn't help but feel their anus tighten. Brother Lin, let's talk about whether there is a way to do this without investing in the company. Luo Penghao shouted as he ran. I don't know. Lin Qingjun's face was distorted and his feet had reached the fastest speed. At this moment, chains appeared behind Shirdi, tied up a branch nearby, and flew over with one hand around Lin Qingjun's waist. Li Taibai also reacted quickly and grabbed Lin Qingjun's ankle and left the ground the moment he took off. But he was still hit by the cow's horn at the moment he climbed up the branch. Oh my god! It was almost a stake. Li Bai lay on the tree branch, touching the back and said weakly. Lin Qingjun was also ashamed. He didn't know this had happened. And it would be even worse if I didn't escape. For example, stop it, Aunt Nyo. Sister Nyo. Stop pushing me, my butt hurts. I bought a steak. Just listen to the sound, and you will know how miserable it is. Yu Yunlong, who was pushed into the air, turned his head and happened to meet Lin Qingjun's gaze. F***K. Old Lin, you are such a piece of shit. You actually ran away by yourself. Oh, my A***. I wiped off a cold sweat and thought about countermeasures. Moo moo. Suddenly, the sound of cows mooing was heard not far away. Lin Qingjun looked and saw that they were a bull and a calf. Taibai, can you move? Li Taibai shook his head and said, no, that hit me just now and it seems to have numbed my muscles. Now I have no feeling in my lower body. Lin Qingjun nodded and took Shirdi to sneak behind the bull and the calf. In the distance, just as when Mengda and others were crying over the loss of their lower bodies, a loud shout rang out in front. Hey, stop, little cows. Otherwise, I will kill the bull and the calf. This sound not only attracted the attention of Mengda and others, but also attracted the attention of the cow. The cows turned their heads and saw the scene that made them angry. Not far away, several chains behind Shirdi directly tied up the bulls and calves and lifted them into the air. Moo! The leader of the largest cows roared angrily. Just as he was about to charge, he was frightened by Lin Qingjun's threatening look. Back off and let them go, or I'll kill your cubs and the old bull. Lin Qingjun pointed at Yu Yunlong and the others, then patted the calf's head. Moo! The cow leader cried out unwillingly and hesitated. Damn it, the handle is under control, and the cow has to bow its head under the eaves. With a shake of his head, the cows behind him kicked Qian Hongjia and his 4 companions over. Then there was another moo. Back off. I tell you, if you don't back off, I won't let the people go. No, I won't let the cattle go. Lin Qingjun breathed a sigh of relief after seeing Luo Penghao and others running over. Then, looking at the cows, make fencing moves. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Finally, under the threat of Lin Qingjun, he retreated step by step. When Mengda asked, the next step is to run? Lin Qingjun shook his head. Run away later. You guys have been tortured to death like this. If you don't take some compensation, how can you justify but that was induced to give birth by a bull's horn? Yeah, that makes sense, but what can we take? Of course it's milk. Several people cut down a tree and dug a wooden barrel. Amid the unhappy, fearful, and angry looks of a group of calves, all the milk of the bull cow was squeezed out. Then they let go of the cows and their calves and ran away immediately. Soon after, angry moos of cows were heard from behind. Gaga, even though we didn't hunt any exotic animals, drinking so much milk was not a loss. Lin Qingjun was thinking in his heart. Moreover, with milk, coffee beans, cocoa beans, etc., you can make a cup of milk tea when you go back. Above the sky, Lu Xining, who had been watching them, rubbed his forehead. Do these guys have any sense of crisis? They can still talk and laugh in such a dangerous jungle. I don't know if they are capable or just naive. I will let DePeo teach them a lesson when I return. If this area had not been cleared and there were basically no strange beasts above the cocoon's solid realm, he would not dare to let these students in. If the forest had not been cleared, of the nearly 1,000 students who entered, less than 2/3 would have survived. Suddenly, he looked at the black shadow beside him and said respectfully, Sir, didn't the city lord ask you to catch a beast in the solidification realm and throw it in front of this kid? Why haven't you done it yet? The shadow shook his head and said nothing. But the awareness is already very clear. There is no rush. Chapter 37. Several people stopped not far from the river. Start setting up camp and making a fire to barbecue. Li Bai came to the river alone, squatted down, scooped up some water, and washed his face. I don't know how much time passed. Lin Qingjun came over with a large piece of barbecue. Here, I left a piece of barbecue for you. Li Taibai nodded, took it, and started eating. Seeing that he looked a little absent-minded, Lin Qingjun couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong? What's on your mind?" Li Bai shook his head, freed one hand, pointed to the mountain, and said, "There seems to be something inside that is attracting me. I can't explain it, it's just my intuition." "Then, let's go check it out tonight?" Lin Qingjun thought for a moment and said. In the middle of the night, Lin Qingjun got up and woke up the reluctant Empress and followed Li Taibai into the mountain. The two of them went upstream along the current. Not long after, Lin Qingjun looked around and said, "Did we go to the wrong place? There was a fork in the road. No way, my position is correct. I trust my intuition." Half an hour later. "Oh, this seems to be a mountain wall. It's blocked. TSK, I really took the wrong path. This time I'll definitely go this way." The three of them wandered around until it was light enough to see the surroundings, and then Li Bai finally knew the exact location. Suddenly, he ran wildly in one direction. Lin Qingjun followed closely behind. As we moved farther, the sound of the rushing water became louder and louder. Finally, the three of them pushed aside the clouds and mist and came to another world. In front of us is a wide waterfall, about 1,000 meters high, cascading down along the steep rock wall, instantly scattering countless pearls, splashing thousands of silver flowers, and spraying pearls and flying snow, as magnificent as a dancing jade dragon. The rushing water falls directly into the pond in the valley. Coupled with the rising sun, shining on the waterfall, it instantly turns it into a golden color. Coupled with the location here, it adds a kind of picturesque beauty. Haha, after wandering around in the mountains for most of the night, it's worth it to see this scene. Lin Qingjun smiled. When he turned back inadvertently, he was startled. Because, at this moment, Li Bai covered his eyes with his hands, bared his teeth, and his expression was painful and distorted. F***K, are you okay? Something happened. I don't know why my eyes hurt so much. And I closed them unconsciously. Just as Lin Qingjun was about to step forward to help, Shitty at the side spoke up. He actually closed his sword eyes. This kid seems to have a very good talent. Hearing this, Lin Qingjun hurriedly asked, "What's going on here? What does it mean to close the sword eye?" Shitty stretched his waist lazily and said slowly, "Literally, I closed my eyes, but these are not ordinary eyes, but sword eyes. The longer they are closed, the more powerful they will be when they are opened. The premise is not to open your eyes. Moreover, closing the sword eyes is very different from those opening them. The former is nurturing and restrained, but once it unfolds over time, its power will be enormous. The latter is that it improves as your strength increases. Obviously, the former is more difficult, which also represents the boy's extraordinary talent." Lin Qingjun had an O-shaped face throughout the whole process. F***K, Taibai, did you hear that? You're such a cool guy. Li Taibai kept rubbing his eyes and said, "Please cover that thing for me. If you don't, I will always want to open it." Lin Qingjun didn't hesitate and tore a piece of his clothes and tied him up. "Li Bai, if that's what I meant, why would I tell you? Can't you just tear it up yourself? Taibai, can you see it?" Lin Qingjun stretched out his hand and waved it in front of his eyes. "I can see. Even though my eyes are closed, I can sense every flower and blade of grass around me." "Well, how did you do it?" "I want one too," Lin Qingjun said excitedly. If he could also close his sword eyes, wouldn't he be invincible? However, Li Bai's next words dispelled his thoughts. "You can't do that. I was looking at this waterfall and the scenery of the mountains and rivers, and a sudden enlightenment came to my mind. That's it." Lin Qingjun's mouth twitched when he heard this. "If you recite a few lines of poetry, I will definitely think you are Lao Li. Let's go. It's time to go down the mountain. By the way, how did you know about this place?" 2 words, intuition. The three of them went down the mountain and came to the temporary camp, only to find that several people had not gotten up yet. I looked at the time. It's only 6 o'clock. Go back to the tent and take a nap. Afterwards, Lin Qingjun and others started hunting exotic animals in the surrounding areas with this temporary camp as the center. After the cows had pushed me, they also became cautious. There are successes and failures in hunting. Let them gain a lot of experience from hunting again and again. At least I can survive in this forest. That night, Lin Qingjun and others came to the river to chat. Suddenly, a few bubbles appeared from the bottom of the water with gurgling sounds. Lin Qingjun's eyes narrowed. This familiar opening, these familiar bubbles. He immediately shouted, "Retreat! Everyone retreat!" After saying that, he jumped back directly. The others didn't have any doubt and jumped back away from the river. After these days of cooperation, several people almost believed in Lin Qingjun's words. Not long after they jumped away, a creature appeared that was more than 10 meters tall, with a blue body and red armor on its back. The huge mouth is a duck's mouth, and there are fish fins on the back. It looks a bit silly and cute overall. When he saw the appearance of this creature, Lin Qingjun immediately learned the news about this strange beast. Parrotfish. This guy is called Parrotfish, and luckily it's a juvenile parrotfish. It is said that the strength of an adult can reach the level of no wings. Lin Qingjun exhaled and said. Qian Hongjie felt the faint pressure emanating from the parrotfish, and the corner of his mouth twitched. But these guys are powerful enough to reach the solidification realm. It's a solid state, or we should just run away. As soon as Luo Penghao finished speaking, the others turned around and ran away. Wait for me, damn. When the parrotfish saw these delicious humans running away, how could he let them go? It immediately opened its big duck-like mouth, revealing rows of hooked teeth. He opened his mouth, inhaled, and then exhaled white bubbles of air. When I just opened my crystal eyes, I saw that a large group of people were trapped in a bubble. Stop immediately. But Yu Yunlong and Qian Hongjie couldn't stop the car and crashed directly into the bubble. Then the two of them seemed to have fallen into water and lost control, unable to move in the bubble and waving their limbs randomly. Clang! Li Bai drew his sword and slashed at the bubble. But it bounced away. Damn it! This thing is soft and can't be cut. Li Taibai cursed. Buzz. Suddenly, Lin Qingjun felt a chill on his back. Chapter 38. When I turned around, I was almost scared to death by a scream, because the parrotfish had come behind them, looking at them with a big grin. Then he raised his hand, grabbed it, and slammed it down. Lin Qingjun activated the power of time and space and fled with the Emperor of Time. Before running away, he shouted to everyone, "Hide!" Luo Penghao and Wen Ida threw themselves to one side without hesitation. Li Bai did not dodge, but instead drew out the phoenix and slashed at the claw that was coming towards him. With a bang, Li Bai was knocked away. He fell to the ground, groaned, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Lin Qingjun appeared on the side, looked at Li Taibai and said, "Are you okay?" The latter stood up, shook his head to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, and tightly grasped the sword, looking vigilantly at the parrotfish shaking its head and tail not far away. Is there any way to break the deadlock? Now the road is blocked by the huge white bubble on all sides, and it is obviously impossible to escape. As for rivers, you can't go there. Parrots are amphibians, and if you go there, you'll just be sending yourself food. You can only force it. Be careful not to get hurt. Lin Qingjun looked at the parrotfish and used his crystal eyes to assist the others. As soon as he said this, Li Bai moved. Blue and red flames rose from the sword in his hand and entangled with the parrotfish. Luo Penghao and Wen Ida also attacked the parrotfish. However, the difference in level immediately put them at a disadvantage. Tisk, just when Lin Qingjun was at a loss. Shirdi also moved. The 18 chains behind him stretched forward and then appeared in different places to entangle the parrotfish. The latter was no pushover either. After seeing how difficult the chains were to deal with, his back glowed red and he broke free from the chains, knocking Li Bai and the other two flying. With a roar, he jumped towards the Emperor of Time. If you ignore the mouthful of hooked teeth, the parrotfish is still very cute and adorable. Seeing the parrotfish getting closer and closer to Shitty, and the chain unable to wrap around him, Lin Qingjun shouted anxiously, "Sure, get out of the way." The moment the words fell, the parrotfish slapped it with its claws. But when I raised my paw, there was nothing. The parrotfish couldn't help but feel confused, because the two-legged beast was still there. Buzz ripples appeared in the space above its head, and the Emperor of Time appeared above it. Step on the chain and wave your hand. Chains appeared from all directions of the parrotfish and suddenly wrapped around it. Ing! The parrotfish roared and shook its head in an attempt to break free from the chain. No, we can only control it for a short time. Our attack methods can't hit it at all. Luo Penghao said helplessly. How can you know if you don't try? You have to grind it to death. Li Bai grasped his sword and was ready to attack. At this time, Emperor Shi looked at him and said, "Use your strongest move to attack me." What? Hit you? Li Bai was stunned. Emperor Shi, I won't say it a second time. Sure. As Li Bai spoke, He couldn't help but look at Lin Qingjun. The latter nodded. Although he didn't know what Shirdi was going to do, he knew it was right to listen to her. Because I only know a little bit about the power of time and space. Or not even the fur. Well, don't blame me if you get hurt. After saying this, Li Bai raised his sword with the tip pointing upwards and stretched out his index and middle fingers, brushing across the sword. Before the blue-red flames became stronger. My most powerful move right now is a newly created sword move. Waterfall under the river, sword coming from the sky. Buzz, as soon as he finished speaking, 5 green and red swords condensed above his head. It exudes the power of the 3rd level of perfection in the cocoon's solid realm, close to the state of solidification. Then, he held the sword in his left hand and chopped it down fiercely at Emperor Shi. Buzz. A crescent-shaped sword energy about 2 or 3 meters long led 5 green and red long swords to chop towards the Emperor of Time. The latter waited for the arrival of the sword energy, then leaped up, consuming the power of time and space around him like crazy. Disordered time and space. A force of time and space spread out, enveloping the parrot and several sword energies. Then, these sword energies changed their trajectories uncontrollably and hit the parrotfish. With a bang, the sword energy hit the parrotfish completely. The damage was caused, but not serious. Just when everyone thought it was over, Lin Qingjun saw something wrong through his crystal eyes. The next moment, ripples appeared in the space around the parrotfish, and a green and red sword tip appeared along with sword energy. Then, dense sword energy and blue-red long swords appeared and whizzed towards the parrotfish. Moreover, after this wave is defeated, another wave arrives. The parrotfish started out by roaring angrily, then growling softly, and finally became silent. This skill didn't last long. It stopped after 4 or 5 waves. What the hell is going on here? This is too amazing. Oh, I can't bear to look at it. I can't bear to look at it. Such a scene left several people stunned. Emperor Shi landed on the ground, his steps staggering a little. The token vibrated and recorded 200 points, which brought Lin Qingjun back to his senses. He quickly stepped forward to support Shirdi. He saw the skill just now clearly, pulling the sword energy and the blue-red sword from other time and space lines to this point in time to attack. This kind of attack method is like a person who can only use basic attacks, and then meets a noble person who turns every one of your basic attacks into a machine gun that fires a few times and you're done. It is powerful, but also consumes a lot of time and space power. The dust on the parrotfish's side cleared away, revealing a creature riddled with holes. I don't know if it was intentional or what, but the parrotfish's inner elixir is still preserved. Boo, the white bubbles blocking the way also melted away. After Yu Yunlong escaped from the trap, he dug out the inner elixir of the parrotfish. He handed it to Lin Qingjun with a smile. Brother Lin, you're Dan. The latter nodded, took it and handed it to Shitty for direct absorption. Qian Hongjia was shocked and said, "Oh my, this is amazing. A beast in the solid realm was solved so easily?" Ahem, I also took some credit for this, okay? Li Bai made a sword flower, put away the phoenix and said, "Above the sky." Lu Xining was also extremely shocked as she watched the scene below. At the 3rd level of the cocoon solid realm, one can hunt down the alien beast of the transformation solid realm, the parrotfish, and it is an alien beast that is born with natural damage reduction. Parrotfish, the red armor on its back is an energy body, which is innate and has a damage reduction effect, but it is not real armor. Sir, I remember that from ancient times to the present, except for the 5 city lords, no one has been able to cross a major realm to kill people. Lu Xining looked at the black shadow and said. The latter shook his head and said in a hoarse and old voice, "I don't know about other cities, but there was one in Weicheng." "Oh, who is it? Can you tell me, sir?" The shadow shook his head and said nothing. Seeing that he didn't want to answer, Lu Xining could only change the subject and said, "Since this child can hunt down the parrotfish in the solid realm, then other exotic beasts shouldn't be a problem, right? Do you need to make further arrangements, sir?" The black shadow thought for a moment and said, "It's okay to have more difficult trials. They can help a person grow quickly. We should arrange some." Chapter 39. At night, Lin Qingjun sat in front of the morning fire, looking at the barbecue and fell into deep thought. He was thinking about the scene of Shitty dealing with the parrotfish this afternoon. The movements are silky smooth, and the last skill is extremely powerful. If it were him, not only would he make frequent mistakes, but he wouldn't be able to use many skills, and he might even be completely defeated. Hey, what are you thinking about? The barbecue is about to burn. Oh. Lin Qingjun came to his senses and took the barbecue, which was about to burn, off the fire. Li Taibai, who was standing next to him, saw that he looked troubled and couldn't help but said, "What's wrong? Just tell me if you have something to say." Lin Qingjun shook his head and took a bite of the barbecue. "Nothing. I just feel a little uncomfortable seeing you grow so fast." Hearing this, Li Taibai's mouth twitched. "You are really good at talking. Your current realm is one level higher than mine, and you still say I'm fast?" But when he thought that Lin Qingjun had no means of attack and had to stay in the back, he felt relieved. Which man doesn't wish to have extraordinary means, to stand at the front of the battlefield and fight the enemy head-on? The kind that delivers every punch to the flesh. Patting his shoulder, he said, "Don't be so depressed. When you have mastered time and space, why don't you take off?" Lin Qingjun nodded and ate the barbecue. After they had eaten and drunk their fill and chatted for a while, they all went back to their tents and fell asleep. Lin Qingjun tossed and turned, but couldn't fall asleep. He propped himself up with his hands and looked at Shidi's delicate face. He sighed silently, lay down on his side, supported his head with one hand, and looked at Shidi quietly. Not long after, the latter's eyebrows trembled, and she opened her eyes and looked at Lin Qingjun beside her. "Lord, why are you looking at me like this?" Lin Qingjun grinned and said, "I said you were so beautiful that I couldn't help but look at you a few more times. Do you believe me?" Hearing this, Shidi's delicate cheeks couldn't help but blush a little, but he shook his head. The two of them have been together for such a long time that they basically know Lin Qingjun's character very well. A true, big-wave believer. Only women of D grade and above will attract their attention. Those below level D are basically nothing. Even though she was very beautiful, Lin Qingjun had never stayed on her face for such a long time before. Lin Qingjun lay down, looking at the top of the tent and said, "What do you want me to say about you? You are so beautiful. How can you be so pretty? But why don't you gain weight? Really, this face is wasted." Alas, Shidi blushed at first, and then he calmed down as if he had fallen into an ice hole. He raised his hands and placed them on his chest and touched them. Her dark brows couldn't help but frown slightly. "I don't want to either, but I haven't gained any weight in all these years. However, my eldest sister and third sisters are very big, which is very strange." Lin Qingjun sat up suddenly after hearing this. He came over, grabbed her shoulders with both hands and shook her, and asked excitedly, "How big are your eldest sister and third sisters?" Shidi thought for a moment and said, "Judging from the Lord's words, the third sister is G-level and the eldest sister is F-level." Roar! Lin Qingjun almost got a stitch in the side when he heard this. F-level and G-level are basically the legendary levels. Embracing either one is like embracing the whole world. Judging from Emperor Shi's appearance, the eldest sister and the third sister are probably equally beautiful, which is really shocking. Seeing Lin Qingjun like this, Shidi somehow felt a surge of anger in his heart. She slapped his hands away, pushed him away, snorted, and turned away. Lin Qingjun sat down on the ground, scratching his head, not knowing what was going on. He pushed her and asked, "What's wrong?" The emperor was speechless. I shrugged and just lay down asleep. After a while, Emperor Shi spoke quietly. "Lord, you must have something else to say." Lin Qingjun opened his eyes and nodded. "Yes, I want to ask you for advice on the knowledge and introduction of time and space. I seem to understand something. If I just improve my realm without paying attention to the supreme law of time and space, my upper limit may not be high." "Lord, why do you think so?" "I don't know. It seems that he saw how awesome you are. Or it could be that some big boss wanted to make an embarrassing plot. So, are you willing to teach me? You said before when you were choosing a mentor, you will call me." Lin Qingjun glanced at Shidi's back. The latter snorted softly, turned over and lay down. "I don't want to teach you now. I want to regret it." "Why?" Lin Qingjun turned his head and looked at her. After all, she was one of the 3 great empresses of her race. She should have some integrity, okay? The Emperor of Time glanced at him and said, "The Lord summoned me here, and I lost my freedom and my boundless power. How can I teach the Lord? Now I only want to kill the Lord." "Alas, you said that you didn't want to do the mission of the tribe, so you were nailed in the hall and lost your freedom for a long time. Then I summoned you here. After signing the master-servant contract, I no longer have any strength, and I am unwilling to accept this." He swallowed and continued to use his usual tricks. "Have you ever thought that it was me who brought out the sword and set people free? Why are they summoned here by me now and cannot leave? But this is much better than being trapped in the hall. As for strength, you help me grow quickly. If I grow up, won't you also recover your strength?" Shidi opened his mouth, as if he really understood what was going on. Also, although this is a master-servant contract, Do I treat you like a servant? No, I have always regarded you as a friend, right? So please don't be prejudiced against me. Yeah. After a long silence, Emperor Shi finally nodded after hearing this series of words. Seeing this, Lin Qingjun smiled. He rolled over and held Shi in his arms, whispering in her ear, "Hey, well, can you turn into the shape of a kitten? I haven't petted you for a long time." Shi's face turned slightly red. He couldn't stand it anymore and turned into the size of an ordinary cat, allowing Lin Qingjun to do whatever he wanted. Outside the tent, there were 4 men hiding in the bushes, with their ears pressed against the tent. Hey, how do you think Lin Qingjun can hold back his hissing? There's still no movement until now. No, I think they must have used some special method to conceal or isolate the sound. So we can't hear it? I'm telling you, how could you resist with such a pretty girl around you? That's not right. I haven't felt anything when I watched Shitty these past few days. I don't think she moved. The next day, Chapter 40. After everyone had dealt with all matters after getting up in the morning, they sat together to discuss today's plans. Luo Penghao used a branch to dig a hole and said, "If it's your opinion, I don't care about any plans. Let's just go hunt the monsters and earn points. The 6 of us will be the top 6 on the list." Luo Zi is right. I support Luo Zi. Yu Yunlong nodded. Lin Qingjun shook his head. Have you not woken up yet? Trial, what is it? It's obvious in 2 words. The points ranking is the motivation to motivate us. The real intention is to let us grow in this experience. Ranking is second, of course. It would be better to get a lot of points in the trial. And that's what Shiyuan thinks. Strange beasts are the best training for humans and help them grow faster. To this end, they did not hesitate to let the students be killed by strange beasts. Hearing this, they were silent for a few moments and then nodded. So, in order to achieve a better training effect, we will be divided into groups of 2. Tai-Bai and I have the best rapport, so I will be in a group with him. As he spoke, Lin Qingjun reached out and put his arm around Li Tai-Bai's neck. The latter also stretched out his arm and put his arm around Lin Qingjun's neck and said with a smile, "That's right, we have a very good understanding. He assists and I output. It's not fair that he's left cold." Luo Penghao swung the wooden stick in his hand and said. Lin Qing raised his head and looked at him. "What's unfair about this?" "You, plus Li Bai, there is one more." He pointed at Shi and said, "And her, that makes 3 people. Not fair. Tisk, she's my contracted spirit. How is that unfair? It's settled, let's go." Having said that, Lin Qingjun and the other person turned around and left. The emperor followed him without saying a word. Luo Penghao and the other 3 also started to divide into groups. Dozens of minutes later, Lin Qingjun and his 2 companions found a lone wolf in the jungle. It is a jungle wolf at the peak of the 1st level. The ranking of the levels of the exotic beasts is relatively simple, divided into 1st level, 2nd level, 3rd level, and so on. Each level corresponds to the same level. The 3 of them hid behind a tree trunk not far from the jungle wolf. Lin Qingjun and Li Tai-Bai looked at each other and nodded at the same time. They counted to 3 silently and rushed out together. Li Tai-Bai was the fastest and arrived in front of the jungle wolf in just a few breaths. The phoenix in his hand hummed, and the sword emitted a green-red flame that chopped down at the jungle wolf's head. The jungle wolf also reacted quickly, with a ferocious look on its face. It jumped back directly, roared a few times, and pounced on Li Bai tentatively. Lin Qingjun rushed over and used his crystal eye. "Go ahead." "What? What did you say?" Hearing this voice, Lin Qingjun couldn't help but look at Shitty. The latter crossed his arms and said, "Go up and fight the wild dog. Potential is forced out, not practiced. Practice can only make you proficient, but forcing it will expand your potential infinitely. Why are you still standing there? Go ahead." "Oh, well, you are older, so you have the final say." Hearing this, Emperor Shi couldn't help but clench his hands, and veins on his forehead seemed to be throbbing. Old age? Well, a little old, I can't argue with that. Looking at Lin Qingjun joining the battle, he calmed his heaving chest and let out a breath. Chains appeared behind him, and he sat on one of them, propping his face with one hand and said, "The law of time and space is one of the highest developments. Theoretically, it is impossible to master it with the realm of the Lord, but the fact is that you have mastered it." "Haha, didn't your race master it naturally? And I summoned you here. So it seems that it's thanks to you that I can master it without any comprehension." As soon as he finished speaking, he was caught off guard and slapped away by the jungle wolf. Focus on the current situation. Whether you are fighting or practicing, You must be as calm as water without any distracting thoughts. And blah blah. The Emperor of Time not only taught him knowledge about cultivation and combat, but also dissected the laws of time and space and explained them in a simplified way. At first, Lin Qingjun was still able to stutter a little, but after being slapped a few times by the jungle wolf, he calmed down. Calm down and listen attentively. Li Bai also listened attentively. The training and fighting methods taught by Shidi benefited him a lot and were of great help to him. As for the explanation of the laws of time and space, he couldn't understand it at all. Half a day later, Awut the jungle wolf howled miserably and breathed heavily. Let him collapse directly to the ground, with his head raised, as if ready for you to pick him. After a long time, these two-legged beasts clearly had the ability to kill it, but they just didn't kill it and just used it as a sparring partner. This time he had given up struggling and let the two-legged beast do whatever it wanted. Lin Qingjun swallowed his saliva, came to sit next to the jungle wolf, held up its head with both hands and said, "Old wolf, get up for a while, practice more. I promise, I will definitely send you to heaven in 1 minute." Ouch, the coyote shook his head and turned away. "I have already given up resistance." "Well, since you don't want to live anymore, I will send you to hell in advance." As he said this, he picked up Shidi's chain and strangled the jungle wolf to death. Looking at the 100 points that arrived, he said, "I already have more than 2,000 points now. I don't know how other people's points are doing, but they're probably not low either." "I don't know." Li Taibai shook his head and said, "If I can just look at the rankings, then what should I do next?" Lin Qingjuan's eyes flickered a few times, and he said, "Let's continue to find the next sparring partner. As for the points, wait until the last 10 days and then go all out to kill. Now is the golden period for self-training." Another point is that they overestimated the strength of other students. The strength of the strange beast made these students attack it basically 5 times. It takes 3 or 4 people to barely deal with a first-stage, early-stage monster. Moreover, the points are awarded to whoever kills me. With this conversion, their highest average score is just over 100, which is totally incomparable to Lin Qingjun and the others. The powerful talents of SS level and SSS level contractors are invincible in the same level, and this is not only reflected in humans, but also in exotic beasts. As for the S-level contractors, they are several levels weaker than the other two. As time went by, 5 days passed. There are still 10 days left until the end of the trial. On the evening of the 11th day, Lin Qingjun sat cross-legged on a huge rock by the river. Shidi knelt beside him. In front of Emperor Shi were nearly 100 inner cores of exotic beasts. Some people will definitely wonder why Shidi practices by kneeling down. This question is easy to explain. If he practices by sitting cross-legged, wouldn't he be exposing himself? And for girls, it's okay, right? Li Bai and others were watching him beside him. "Are you really going to choose to break through? This is too fast," Luo Pinghao said a little crazily. When Mengda nodded and said, "SSS-level humanoid contract spirits have a really fast cultivation speed." Chapter 41. Lin Qingjun smiled and said, "I was already at the 3rd level of the Cocoon Solid Realm before I came to the trial, and I reached the peak of the 3rd level of the Cocoon Solid Realm last week and was on the verge of a breakthrough. Now I have been suppressed for another week. The foundation is solid, and there is not much point in suppressing it any further." Li Bai looked at the lake and said, "Should we change our location? I always feel like this river is against us." Lin Qingjuan's mouth twitched when he heard this. When he mentioned this river, he couldn't help but think of the 2 sneak attacks that had taken place in this river. That's impossible. It's happened twice already. There can't be a 3rd time. He didn't have much confidence to say this. Li Bai shook his head, drew out the Luan Shang Feng and said, "I will protect you." During this period, he also broke through to the 3rd level of the Cocoon Solidification Realm and has stabilized his realm. And us. Luo Penghao and others summoned their contracted spirits one after another. Lin Qingjun nodded, looked at Shi Di, and nodded to indicate that they could start. The latter started to absorb the energy in the inner elixir and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth without any further ado. When Ida always felt uneasy when looking at the river, so he whispered, "Do you think something will pop out of this river again?" Yu Yunlong scratched his head and said, "A hin, but it has happened twice already, so there should be a 3rd time. Then just release the acid and chase them away." "Yunlong, go." Luo Penghao waved his hand. "Good." Just when Yu Yunlong was about to release the acid, Qian Hongjie spoke up, "No, the alien beasts are all bloody and brutal. Once we release the acid and anger them, they will immediately rush over to fight us to the death. If we were powerful beasts, they would retreat immediately, but we are human beings. Even if we are powerful, they will attack us at the cost of their lives if we touch their territory. Oh, so the alien beasts are also a race that bullies the weak and fears the strong, and they are racially discriminatory. This is not bullying the weak and fearing the strong, nor is it racial discrimination. This is the way of survival of the alien beasts. The alien beasts believe in the law of the jungle. What should we do? We can't just sit there and wait. There will definitely be another attack this time. As soon as Mengda finished speaking, he saw several people looking over at him. Why are you looking at me? Qin Hongjie slapped Ida on the shoulder with a lewd smile on his face. Use your little puppy to freeze this road. Although this cannot completely stop the monsters, my frost wolf is not a puppy. When his bloodline returns to its ancestral form, and he transforms into a wolf, you won't be scared to death. As he spoke, he commanded the milky white ice wolf to use skills on the water surface. Wait for about 10 minutes to make sure the ice is thick enough before stopping. However, all these scenes were seen by a dark shadow deep in the forest opposite. Ha ha ha, how childish. Since you're so worried about a sneak attack, I'll make your wish come true. After saying this, the figure merged into the darkness and disappeared. A few more minutes passed. A black shadow suddenly appeared under the ice. The black shadow waved his hand, and a snow bear, only about 10 meters long, covered in snow white and sleeping soundly, appeared. The strength of this snow bear has reached the early second level. The snow bear is not only strong, but also has good defense among the second-level exotic beasts. I want to see if you can deal with it. The black shadow touched his chin and said, but then he couldn't help but think of a question. It seems a bit unreasonable for a snow bear that only lives on snowy mountains to appear in a forest. Never mind. Those naive kids will definitely think it's a lost snow bear anyway. After saying that, he kicked the snow bear on the butt and made him disappear. Snow bear opened his eyes suddenly and took a deep breath, and it was with this strength that a large amount of river water was sucked into him, causing him great pain. Then he looked at the ice above with cruel eyes as it began to break through. At the same time on the riverbank, the four bored people were digging holes with wooden sticks in their hands and chatting away. Let me tell you, my family is actually the richest man in the city. Qin Hongjie patted his chest and said, my dad's name is Qin Yuyi, and my family is extremely wealthy. Ha ha ha, Luo Penghao spat on the ground and said, he has a huge fortune and is the richest man in Wei City? Why haven't I heard of it? The richest person in the city now is the Li Family Chamber of Commerce. It's reasonable to brag. Is the draft of it good? Ahem, what I'm talking about is that hundreds of years ago, Qin Yu met my father's father. His father's name. My father told me this. Oh, since he is your father's father. Why do you say he is your father? Since he is my father's father. Father. What's wrong with me calling him dad? Is there anything? There's nothing wrong, I guess. Shouldn't it be an ancestor? At this moment, Li Taibai clearly saw the ice trembling, clenched the sword in his hand, and said thoughtfully, something is about to break through the ice. Everyone, pay attention. Whoosh, the four people stood up immediately, prepared for battle, and looked at the ice warily. Luo Penghao curled his lips and said, damn it, there really is something in this water. If it weren't for the ice, this thing would probably have made a sneak attack. Quiet, it's coming. The moment Li Taibai finished speaking, the entire ice surface exploded with a bang and countless cracks appeared. Then there was a snap and the entire ice layer collapsed completely. Then a huge figure popped out of the water. The snow-white hair was swaying, and a large amount of river water was sprayed from the dark nostrils. Then he lowered his head and looked at Li Taibai and others on the riverbank. With fierce eyes and a grin, a burst of cold air condensed into a ball and then shot towards Li Taibai and the others. Retreat! Li Taibai shouted and immediately dodged to the side. The rest of the people reacted less well, but they all avoided it. When the ice ball hit the ground, instead of making a big crater, it exploded and froze the surrounding area into ice. When Mengda looked at the power of the ice ball and couldn't help but murmured, Consolidation realm, and then yelled, this is another damn beast in the solidification realm. Damn it, this river is definitely poisonous. Why are there only so many solidification realms? Why do you care so much about him? Attract his attention and don't let him hurt Lao Lin. Li Taibai said something and rushed towards Snow Bear with his sword. Just as the Snow Bear was about to approach the riverbank, it was struck by Li Taibai's sword and flew away. The Snow Bear was so furious that he raised his paw to clasp Li Taibai. The latter jumped up and jumped onto the layers of debris on the river next to him. At the same time, he looked at Lin Qingjun, who had already entered a deep state of cultivation. He muttered, "Damn it, I'm going to fill this river sooner or later." After saying that, he waved Luan Shangfeng with his hand, and blue-red flames appeared on the sword, killing towards the snow bear violently but extremely softly. The other 4 people will not just watch. At the same time, he activated his skills and attacked the snow bear. Chapter 42. Li Bai and his 4 companions attracted the snow bear's attention and disappeared into the distance. Avoid affecting Lin Qingjun's breakthrough. Just when a few people in the distance led the snow bear to more than 10 meters away from Lin Qingjun, the snow bear suddenly raised its head and roared, and an icy air filled its body, freezing the lake again. Click, click, the snow bear dragged its huge body out of the ice, left the bottom of the water, and came to the ice surface, shaking its body. His scarlet eyes stared at Li Taibai and the others. He opened his mouth wide, condensed an ice ball, and shot it at them. Step, Li Taibai took a step forward, came in front of the ice hockey, and swung the long sword with blue-red flames towards the ice hockey. With a hiss, the ice ball was split into 2 halves and fell on both sides behind him, exploding. Roar! He didn't know when the snow bear came in front of him, raised its huge claws and grabbed him. When Li Bai was about to open his closed eyes, a wolf howl sounded from the side. The milky white ice wolf pounced on the bear's claws. Boom! The bear claw deviated from its trajectory and hit next to Li Bai. The latter nodded to Wenmengda, then rushed towards the snow bear with his sword raised. Lin Qingjun is here. As the Emperor of Time absorbed the energy from the inner cores of the exotic beasts into his body, he then fed the pure energy back to Lin Qingjun. Then the latter circulates the energy in the body throughout the body, tempering the body with this pure energy. Then transfer the excess old energy into your eyes. This is the general method of cultivation. He was already on the verge of a breakthrough, and this time he no longer suppressed himself and directly opened the floodgates to break through. A few minutes later, the opportunity came. Lin Qingjun's heart trembled, the energy in his body circulated rapidly, and he shouted loudly, "Break!" With a bang, a burst of energy spread out from his body, and he broke through. He opened his eyes, looked down at his hands, and clenched them. His brows were slightly wrinkled. He could feel that the energy surrounding his body had melted a little, but it had not dissipated. Cocooning is like a cocoon of silkworms. Then, dissolving the cocoon means dissolving the cocoon around the body. What about breaking the cocoon? Will it really break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly? Lin Qingjun murmured in a low voice. Even if it's not, it's almost the same boom. Just then a roar interrupted his thoughts. He turned his head suddenly and couldn't help but widen his eyes. What the hell? A polar bear. This is a forest. Where did the polar bear come from? But after he finished speaking, he immediately stood up and rushed out. Not long after he rushed out, Shidi opened his eyes. Looking at Lin Qingjun's back, he murmured in a low voice, "The road to cultivation is blocked, and I can only rely on the contracted spirit to open the road of cultivation in a side doorway." As she spoke, she looked up at the sky, her eyes flickering with a hint of anger. "Is that you?" He shook his head, stood up, and followed Lin Qingjun. It didn't take long for Lin Qingjun to arrive at the battlefield. The power of time and space was activated and appeared in front of Luo Penghao in an instant, kicking away the claw that was about to hit his face. Luo Penghao was startled and found that the person coming was Lin Qingjun. He couldn't help but said in surprise, "You have made a breakthrough? Quick, hurry up and kill this bear. We are almost destroyed by it." Lin Qingjun didn't say anything, just looked at Li Taibai. The latter nodded, holding the sword upright with both hands, and blue-red flames filled the air. Tianhe waterfall. Buzz, the sword body trembled, and with a buzzing sound, the blue-red flame exploded, forming a 4 or 5 meter long flaming sword, slowly chopped towards the snow bear. The latter, seeing that it was just a 3rd-level attack from the cocoon realm, ignored it completely. With a roar, he ran straight towards Li Bai. "Damn it, bear. You must have forgotten me." Lin Qingjun stood aside, raised his hand and shouted, "Time and space are disordered, pull." The power of time and space in the body is rapidly consumed. The sword move, Tianhe Waterfall, was pulled over from a different timeline. However, his control over time and space is far inferior to that of the Time Emperor. Therefore, he could only use 4 identical sword moves, and this consumed most of the power of time and space. Faced with the 5 Tianhe Waterfalls, the snow bear also felt a strong sense of crisis. "I wanted to escape, but found there was no way to escape." He had no choice but to fight. He rushed towards Li Bai, stood up on his feet, and slapped down with both palms. At this moment, 5 big swords were also shot down. Boom! The sword energy rippled, and the blue and red flames leaped wildly. 6 people were blown away by the shock wave, and the ice on the river surface melted quickly in such an explosion. Ding ding, the Emperor of Time activated the chain to pull Lin Qingjun up. He coughed twice to clear the river water in his throat, looked at Shitty, thanked him, and then looked down. How's everyone? Is everything all right?
Fine.
Li Bai surfaced and said, I'm fine too. Seeing that everyone was fine, Lin Qingjun couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Then he looked at the snow bear's position vigilantly. Suddenly he shouted to Li Bai and the others, Retreat! Get ashore quickly! The crowd no longer hesitated and swam quickly towards the river bank. When they just got ashore, there was a splash, and the snow bear floated to the surface of the water, looking up and letting out a wail. Large pieces of the originally snow-white hair were burned off, leaving a bloody mess. There were also 3 or 4 deep wounds on his body that were deep enough to see the bones. Damn, this is too thick-skinned. Lin Qingjun couldn't help but curse, and he even started to curse his mother. I'll do the rest. After Shi Di finished speaking, he waved his hand and dozens of chains appeared behind him and wrapped around the snow bear. The snow bear was now exhausted, and coupled with such serious injuries, it struggled for a moment before being tied up tightly by the chains. Then it is squeezed little by little until it suffocates to death. Lin Qingjun sat on the chain and stroked it. TSK, I really like this chain. If I have this chain, who can be my opponent? He has no means of attack now, and even if he does, he has to rely on the power of others. If I have this chain, what can I do? I can even play bondage games. It's just that the Emperor's chest is flat, so he can't play even if he wants to. Humph, my lord, please abandon these unnecessary fantasies. Emperor Shi snorted and turned his head away. Lin Qingjun scratched his head, not knowing what to say. Coming to the ground, he looked at the snow bear's corpse and said, This Arctic. No, where did this second-level snow bear come from? Isn't it a specialty of the snow mountains? The 5 people looked at each other. Didn't it sleepwalk here? Yu Yunlong said, scratching his head. Pooh. Luo Penghao spat out a pool of saliva on the ground and said, How can someone sleepwalk out of the river? And at the bottom of the river? I think he got lost. Idiot. How could it get lost and end up at the bottom of the river? There must be something going on here. First of all, let's rule out the possibility that it was captured by someone. I think it must have comprehended space and teleported here. Damn it, stop talking nonsense. If a strange beast can comprehend space, do we humans still have the chance to survive? Chapter 43. Lin Qingjun's mouth corners also kept twitching. You're already 17 years old. Why are you still talking nonsense like this? Can you be a little more normal? Li Taibai said, I think it's even more ridiculous that someone caught a bear and put it at the bottom of the river to attack us. Who can catch such a big bear and put it at the bottom of the river without making any noise? Yeah, Taibai is right. It's a bit ridiculous to catch such a big snow bear silently and bring it to the bottom of the river to attack us. Moreover, even if it has such a strong power, why doesn't it come and kill us in person? Seeing that everyone was saying similar things, Lin Qingjun's thoughts were also led astray. How could such a big snow bear be caught silently and attacked by the bottom of the river without me noticing at all? It would be more reasonable to swim to the bottom of the river and attack them by surprise. But this is a forest, and this is a specialty of the snowy mountains. What do you think? Could it be the work of Teacher Liu? When Ida spoke cautiously until the end. I can't rule out this possibility. Forget it. Let's not think about it anymore. Anyway, no one will be hurt. Let's go to bed. Lin Qingjun said as he stretched lazily. Yeah, why think so much? Everyone returned to the camp chatting. Above the sky, Lu Xining's eyelids twitched a few times as he looked at the black shadow next to him. You are really capable, old man. You caught the snow bears that only roam in the snowy mountains and brought them here to fight them. Aren't you afraid that they will be dissatisfied? I thought to myself, it's okay if you catch another parrotfish. The black shadow shook his head and said, From what I think, only the snow bear can fight with them. Similar to the snow bear is the thorn-armored black bear in the jungle. That thing is pretty good at defense and attack in the second level. But then again, that child's talent is really strong. He can fight against the second-level alien beast just after breaking through the solidification realm. If he waits until he reaches the third level of the solidification realm, he will definitely be in the solidification realm. Invincible? SSS level genius is really powerful. The black shadow raised his head and sighed, but there was indescribable joy in his voice. Lu Xining nodded. Indeed, but this child has no means of attack, so he can only rely on the moves of the eldest son of the Li family Chamber of Commerce. No, it's not that he doesn't have means of attack, but the real strength lies not in him but in the contracted spirit beside him. The black shadow looked at Shitty and said, "Oh, in that case, sir, would you like to find an opportunity to test her true strength? Forget it. A humanoid contracted spirit who is an ancient mighty being will have some hidden cards. We cannot test out his true strength." After a while, Lu Xining said again, "Sir, how many SSS-level geniuses have appeared in Wei Qing's history?" Hearing this, the black shadow looked up at the sky again. It is said that many years ago, before the 5 major cities were built, there were many geniuses in our human race. I don't know how many geniuses there were, but they all seem to have fallen for various reasons and finally had to survive in these 5 cities. Lu Xining opened her mouth, but did not continue speaking and remained silent. In the next 10 days, Lin Qingjun and others began to hunt exotic beasts frantically to earn points. By the last day, the points per person had exceeded 20,000. "It's time." Lu Xining nodded and drove the tongue snake down. He looked around and shouted, "The trial is over. Everyone gather here." The sound was so loud that it spread throughout the forest. It was clearly heard by every student. The tang snake stopped in the air, and he himself jumped down. "Come to the ground and wait." The students with poor sense of direction in the forest saw the huge tang snake. A look of joy appeared between his brows, and he hurried over there. Soon several students came to Lu Xining. The latter took out a form and said, "State your names and points." Several students looked at each other. A female student stood up and said, "Student Wang Haqiao, points are 631. One after another students appeared from all around and came here. Start reporting points one after another." At this time, several strong men came out of the jungle. Student Li Feng has 8,900 points. Student Zhao Yangfeng with 4,000 points. The leader is Li Feng. Wow, more than 8,000 points. That's how many strange beasts we have hunted. It's a pity that we have to go into groups to kill one strange beast, and we may be chased and beaten in turn. Who can explain this? Go. Haha, why don't you look at who they are? They are from the bull class. The only 2 requirements for entering this class are that they are muscular men and beast-contracted spirits with extremely high defense. Oh, that's enough. At this time, another group of extraordinary people came out of the jungle. These students all have long swords hanging on their waists or sword cases on their backs. One of the leaders led the students to Lu Xining and said, "Student Lu He, the points are 8,800 points." The students behind him also said, "Student Chier Wei, you have 5,000 points?" Lu Xining nodded when he saw this. "Not bad, not bad." It seems that besides Lin Qingjun and these turtle grandsons, there are other powerful students. What? There are more than 8,000 students. Which awesome class are they from? They are the students in the sword class, and their instructor, Jin Qi, won't teach you if you don't hit him with a sword. So you have to hit that instructor with a sword every day? Ah, there is such an outrageous mentor. This is so irresponsible. However, I remember that their strongest one is not Lu He, but Li Taibai. Li Taibai is also a summoned SS-level super genius. Rustling, dozens more figures rushed out. Wow, I can finally go back. I don't want to stay in this ghost place for a moment anymore. One of the leading men looked up to the sky and roared, then looked at Lu Xining and said, "Student Wang Sanson has 6,500 points." The students behind him all smiled. Student Yao has 4,300 points. 6,000. Although it's not as good as the other 2, it's still much better than us. No, they actually won by their numbers. They were a force gathered after Lin Qingjun left. They used a point scoring system, but they are much stronger than us. Indeed, there seems to be great power when there are many people. After recording these students, Lu Xining couldn't help but look in one direction and shouted, "Now that we are here, why don't you hide and hide? What does it look like?" Hearing this, all the students looked over. It was a bush, and the bush was shaking. Apparently, something was moving inside. All the students couldn't help but become nervous. Could it be some powerful alien beast? Chapter 44. Haha. An awkward laughter came from the jungle. Then 6 or 7 figures walked out of it. It was Lin Qingjun and others. "Well, Teacher Lu, don't you know that the protagonist is the last to appear? No one is here yet." It's a little inconsistent with the setting for us to be there. Lu Xining glanced at him sideways and said, I'm in a hurry, so I'll report my results quickly. At the same time, everyone became curious. Lin Qingjun is possessed as an SSS-level contracted spirit, and Li Taibai's points must be high. And Lin Qingjun didn't hesitate and said directly, Points? 20,003 points? Boom, all the students' heads buzzed when they heard the score of over 20,000, and they didn't react at all. This number was not played. So Li Taibai followed closely and said, Student Li Taibai, the points are 19,900 points. Student Luo Penghao has 10,200 points. Student Wen Mengda, the score is 10,000 points. Student Yu Yunlong has 10,003 points. Student Qian Hongjia has 9,999 points. Qian Hongjia rubbed his nose and smiled strangely. This score was calculated carefully by him, and he had a good reputation. Lin Qingjun wanted to break his points at first, but he refused to do so. After all 6 people's scores were reported, there was silence for a while. Almost all the students let out bursts of exclamation. Breaking 10,000 points, someone actually broke 10,000 points. There's more than one person. Did they kill a few dens of alien beasts or a group of alien beasts? What kind of incredible hunting speed is this? Haha, you don't want to think about who they are. SSS-level contract spirits and contractors of SS-level contract spirits. It's not an exaggeration to say that they are the most talented people in the world. Indeed, if they don't have over 10,000 points, this wouldn't be justified. Everyone was talking about it, and all of them had shocked expressions. There was also a group of girls who looked at the backs of Lin Qingjun and Li Taibai with stars in their eyes. Wow, Senior Lin and Senior Li are both so handsome. It would be great to be their girlfriends. Senior Lin, don't think about it. We can't compare to the contract spirit next to him, but Senior Li can still think about it. By the way, haven't you noticed that Senior Li has covered his eyes like this? But he's even more handsome than before. After reporting his results, Lin Qingjun looked around. He could feel the people around him looking at him with expressions of shock, admiration, and endless waiting. He couldn't help but frown. He hated this feeling. Several people came to the side and chatted while waiting for the trial to end. Lin Qingjun squatted down, picked up a branch and dug a hole and said, You said, destined protagonists like us should not be amazed by most people at this moment, and then some people stand up and express dissatisfaction. But there's nothing right now? Hearing this, several people's expressions were a bit unnatural. Li Taibai squatted down, picked up a branch and dug a hole and said, I'm afraid you don't know your own definition. My definition? Lin Qingjun couldn't help but sneered when he heard this. What definition can I have? Isn't it just a counterattack genius? Li Taibai shook his head and said, You must know that Wei City has never produced an SSS-level genius since it was built. Even the Deputy City Lord Xiao Yunqian is only defined as SS plus level. Lin Qingjun stared and opened his mouth slightly. Isn't it possible? The Deputy City Lord has the ability to control time. He is defined as SS plus? What about the current City Lord? Li Taibai shook his head. The City Lord doesn't know. It's not something we can contact. Maybe my ancestors might know something. Oh, Lin Qingjun touched his chin with his muddy hand, his eyes rolling. However, I hope to become a big man like the Deputy City Lord in the future. Gaga was very excited just thinking about it. Alas, but then again, I am an SSS-level genius. Why don't I have such a big influence? Nonsense. Do you know how big the influence of SSS level is? If the public knew about your door, phone, etc., they would be scrapped. We have all signed a confidentiality agreement and cannot tell ordinary people casually. Yoshi, this is good. I just don't like being noticed by too many people. Lin Qingjun wiped the mud off his face and said with a strange smile, Then I can walk around in the noble circle with this S-level talent, right? Okay, but don't be too arrogant. If you are too arrogant, you might get caught and tortured by the city guards. The city lord's rule is that rich second generations should not be arrogant. The evil thought that had just arisen in Lin Qingjun's mind was immediately extinguished. As time went by, almost all the students in the entire forest arrived. Lu Xining waited for a few more minutes and shouted loudly, Gather and stand still. Hearing this, all the students gathered around. Stand still. Lin Qingjun stood in front and looked back, and found that 2/5 of the students were missing. In other words, these students are gone, turned into feces or something. As the tongue snake landed, Lu Xining shouted again, Go up the snake. We will go to the academy. Oh, I can finally go back. The students climbed onto the snake's back one after another as if they were freed. Lin Qingjun came behind Lu Xining and said, "Teacher Lu, won't you be punished for missing so many people?" Lu Xining glanced at him and said, "Bullshit. I have the final say in the entire academy now. Besides, the trials of previous generations are all similar to these. I'm used to it." Oh, Lin Qingjun nodded and said nothing more. After all the students were on the snake's back, it flew high into the sky again and stayed there for a while. Lu Xining looked down and sighed. What didn't come back will never come back. After saying that, Tang's snake rushed towards Wei Cheng. Looking at the people around me, everything turned into fleeting shadows and moved quickly backwards. Lin Qingjun couldn't help but look at Lu Xining and said, "Teacher Lu, how strong are you? Are you strong?" The latter turned around and smiled faintly. Pointing to a mountain not far away, he said, "See that mountain? I'll slap it and it will be gone." "Oh, just brag. The mountain is so big. How can it just disappear like that?" Lin Qingjun rolled his eyes, obviously not believing it. "Hee, when you reach my level, you will know whether what I said is true or not." "Teacher Lu, is the dean of our West College surnamed Luo? Right? Is that a woman? Huh, you even know this? The principal rarely shows up." Lu Xining looked at Lin Qingjun in surprise. The latter smiled and said nothing more. If I continue talking, I might be invited to have tea. After about 10 minutes, they crossed the city wall and arrived at the West Courtyard. Gate. Chapter 45. Everyone got off the snake's back, came to the ground, and lined up. Lu Xining held up a list and said, "The statistics are out. Now let's start reporting the results and rewards." After hearing this, many people looked much more excited. Lu Xining did not hesitate and reported the results directly. The first place winner, Lin Qingjun, will be rewarded with 5,000 first-level inner pills, 1,000 second-level inner pills, 50,000 credits, and a set of third-level inner armor. The second place winner is Li Taibai. The reward is 3,500 first-level inner pills, 800 second-level inner pills, 10,000 credits, and a second-level leather armor set. The third place winner is Luo Penghao. The reward is 3,000 first-level inner pills, 600 second-level inner pills, 8,000 credits, and a set of second-level leather armor. Third place. The reward for the first place is the most generous, but for the second place, the reward is only 2/10 lower. It is enough to see that the reward for first place is generous. After reading out the top 50 names, Lu Xining stopped reading. There will be no rewards for the top 50, and those after the 50th place will only receive some inner elixirs and credit subsidies. Okay, everyone, go back to the academy. The rewards will be delivered to your residence tonight. After saying this, the person disappeared. Only after Instructor Lu left did the students begin to exclaim in surprise. With so many beast inner cores, what level must the top 10 geniuses have cultivated to? Don't worry, the world of geniuses, what does it have to do with us? That's right. Lin Qingjun led 5 people into the campus, and a big hand reached out to them. He simply grabbed Lin Qingjun and ravaged him in his arms. "Brother, are you okay?" Lin Qingyang touched his brother up and down, fearing that he might have a wound or something. He broke free from his brother's restraints and said, "Brother, what can happen to me? Don't you see who I am? And now I have broken through to the solidification realm." Lin Qingyang looked carefully from head to toe, and suddenly his eyes widened. "Oh my God, it's true. Brother, did you take some powerful drugs to achieve such a fast training speed? So fast. This cultivation speed is many times faster than what he had before. Hey, let's go. It's noon now. It's time to go eat." Lin Qingjun waved his hand and went straight to the cafeteria. "Today I'm treating you. You guys pay the bill. You wish. Whoever arrives last will pay the bill. Haha." With a whoosh, Lin Qingjun directly consumed part of the power of time and space and instantly arrived at the cafeteria entrance, just to refuse to pay the bill. Just as he appeared at the door, he looked up and saw an acquaintance. Zhang Ningyu. The backhand was also stunned, and then he let out a sinister laugh. "Good boy. You actually dared to break through to the solidification realm. What are you doing standing on the stage?" Lin Qingjun curled his lips. Is this kid still holding a grudge? I don't want to. Ha ha ha, you're scared now, right? Now give me that room and I'll consider letting you go. Zhang Ningyu threw his head back and laughed. Lin Qingjun looked at him as if he were a fool. After Zhang Ningyu finished laughing, he looked up and shouted, "Everyone, come and see. Someone is bullying the weak by relying on himself as a senior student. Cha, you kid." Zhang Ningyu never expected that Lin Qingjun would use this trick. In the cafeteria, passers-by outside heard the shout and turned to look. In the cafeteria, some students even came to the door with their plates in hand and ate while watching. Lin Qingjun looked around. Although he hated being stared at, it didn't mean he was socially phobic. Rather, it meant he was socially phobic. Everyone, come and see, come and see. I am a new student, and this old student who has broken through the solid realm actually wants to take my little house. Do you know that my house is as big as 3 bedrooms and a living room, and this guy actually wants to steal my love? My heart hurts so much. Zhang Ningyu's mouth twitched. This kid's acting skills were too exaggerated. Also, you told me that the villa, which has enough space to accommodate more than 100 people, only has 3 bedrooms and a living room? You kid. But as soon as he opened his mouth, Lin Qingjun interrupted him with a loud roar. Look everyone. This guy actually yelled at me. I know that you want to live in my 3-bedroom apartment to keep your mistress from being discovered. I understand, but have you ever thought about the fact that you have occupied my house? Where can I live in this house? Aren't you afraid that I will tell your girlfriend? When he said this, many people laughed out loud. Opening it up to the mistress, that's pretty bold. Although our west courtyard is lenient, if news like this really gets out, indeed, this guy is really shameless. He kicked out the freshman just to find a house for his mistress. Shameless. Shameless. Lin Qingjun covered his mouth and pretended to cry, but he was actually laughing. This wave is called igniting the fire from the highest point of morality. As a young person in the 21st century, how can we lack good internet literacy? As long as you strike first, you are right. Those who are kept in the dark and guessed wrong will listen to you explain it clearly. Even if there is something wrong, you can suppress it directly with a loud shout. Zhang Ningyu looked at the people around him talking at the same time and was so angry that he almost smoked. The most important thing is that he is just a single guy. He was accused of being a mistress, but he has never even touched a woman's hand. In a rage, the power in his body surged and he raised his foot and stomped hard. With a loud bang, cracks appeared on the ground. Just be quiet. Bang. A tray carrying food hit him on the head. What are you yelling about? Are you angry because I said a few words to you? What's wrong? You look very unconvinced. Let's go to the ring and have a fight. A burly man with a bad temper said angrily. Zhang Ningyu smiled immediately when he saw this person. It's Shi Rong, who is ranked 8th on the solid realm breaking ranking. He has a bad temper, and anyone who messes with him will suffer. At this time, Li Bai and others also happened to arrive. Lin Qingjun was shocked when he saw his brother standing in the center of the crowd, and there was a disheveled figure in front of him. He immediately sensed something was wrong, and in a hurry he summoned the Phoenix Blood Harp, and with a flick of his finger, he activated his skill. It flew straight into the sky, and quickly landed above Lin Qingjun. He raised the Blood Harp and smashed it towards Zhang Ningyu. Bang! Zhang Ningyu was directly knocked away by Yi Qin. How dare you touch my brother? Do you want to live? Then he turned around and looked at Lin Qingjun and said, Brother, are you okay? The latter blinked and shook his head. I'm fine. I was fine from the beginning. It's that person who is in trouble. Zhang Ningyu clenched his fists tightly, and his bloodshot eyes were about to spit fire. The mark of the contract on the back of the hand glowed. A strange bird with a body length of more than 20 meters and extremely ugly appearance appeared behind him. Damn it. What's wrong with that B****************? Believe it or not, I will kill you. Lin Qingjun frowned, took a step forward holding the zither, and protected his brother behind him. I did it. So what? My brother was bullied, and as an older brother, I can't just sit there and do nothing. Chapter 46. Zhang Ningyu pointed at Lin Qingjun's nose and yelled, Don't keep talking nonsense. If you have the guts, come to the ring and fight. Since he didn't take action immediately, it was obvious that he still had some rationality left. The latter took a step forward while holding the guqin in his arms. Don't even think about going to the ring. I dare to fight right here. As he spoke, his slender fingers plucked the strings, and waves of sound hit Zhang Ningyu. The latter's eyes widened. How dare this fellow actually do this? The college has a clear rule that fighting is not allowed in the cafeteria. There are severe penalties for violators. The strange bird behind him spread its wings and protected him. When the people around the cafeteria saw that a fight had really broken out, they all retreated, fearing that they would be affected. Lin Qingjun turned his head and looked back, saying with a smile, Stay back a little, I'm going to get serious. Lin Qingjun nodded, and took Li Taibai and others to retreat a long distance. Luo Penghao asked curiously, Can your brother beat that guy? Lin Qingjun shook his head. I don't know. but my brother has worked in the Yuqing Guard for 10 years, so he should be able to win. Lin Qingjun had already broken through the solid realm a long time ago, but due to the busy official duties of the Yuqing Guard division, he had to delay it. It has been half a month since he returned to the academy. Considering the 1:7 time difference within the academy, it means that Lin Qingjun has been in the academy for half a year. After devoting all his energy to cultivation using the resources accumulated over the past 10 years, he still had no idea what level he had reached. After seeing his brother retreat, Lin Qingjun looked at Zhang Ningyu with a playful look. I haven't had an opponent for more than half a year. If Master Luo hadn't said that practicing the piano requires concentration, I would have picked a competition venue long ago. Humph. Since you are that boy's brother, I will take care of you. Zhang Ningyu had a ferocious look on his face, and he transformed into a half-bird man and pounced quickly towards Lin Qingjun. The latter snorted coldly and played the guqin quickly with his fingertips. Zhang, an invisible energy spread out, enveloping Zhang Ningyu and the strange bird. Zhang Ningyu suddenly found that his speed had dropped several times. Fire Phoenix Sound Domain. Twin phoenixes appear. As Lin Qingjun finished speaking, he quickly plucked the strings with both hands. Two huge phoenix shadows appeared behind him. When the two fire phoenixes appeared, the crowd of onlookers exclaimed in amazement. This might, at least, has reached the peak of the third stage of the solid breaking realm, right? When did such a person appear in our west courtyard? A fiery red piano, a fire-type ability. I seem to remember it. I heard from seniors from previous generations that there was such a person. With only an S-level weapon soul contract, he was able to overthrow the entire the genius from the same class in the academy, Lin Qingjun. No way, can't he even beat an SS-level genius? But is he still S-level? You can't beat an SS level 1 either, because not only are his skills difficult to deal with, they have high attack power, and they also have control. Do you think you can beat him? Most people are killed in seconds before they even get close to him. Zhang Ningyu, who was facing the two phoenixes behind Lin Qingjun, was the one who truly felt the power of the two phoenixes. I'm afraid it's far beyond the ability to break through the solid realm. Before, Lin Qingjun restrained the power in his body, so those who were lower than him in level could not see his true strength. Now the power in his body burst out, directly pressing Zhang Ningyu to the point where he could hardly breathe. He now began to regret why he had provoked Lin Qingjun, but it was too late. The twin phoenixes were already flying towards him, just as he instinctively closed his eyes and raised his hand to block. But after waiting for a long time, I didn't feel any pain. I couldn't help but open my eyes and take a look. It was Lu Xining standing in front of him. Just now, while he was handling official business in the office, he felt someone was making trouble in the cafeteria, so he rushed over immediately. Then I saw the two of them fighting. Then he slapped the two phoenix shadows away with a slap. What's going on? Doesn't the school rule prohibit causing trouble in the cafeteria? Lu Xining looked around and said. Lin Qingjun stood up and shouted, Teacher Lu, I know. Shut up. Okay. He squatted back down. Lu Xining pointed at an honest man next to her and said, You answer. Yes, you have no one else. The honest man scratched his head and said, This is what happened. As soon as the junior arrived at the cafeteria, he had a conflict with Zhang Ningyu. It was about the student housing issue, blah blah. The honest man told the whole story, including the cause and the end, without adding any exaggeration. He just told the truth. Lu Xining glanced at Zhang Ningyu behind her. It's what you deserve. Now that you have some strength, you become arrogant. He waved his hand, looked at the people around him and shouted, The cafeteria is a place to eat, not a place to fight. You too. When he saw Lin Qingjun, he couldn't help but pause. He knew this guy, the student sitting next to the dean. Ahem, considering it's your first offense, I'll let it go this time. If it happens again next time, I'll give each of you a big fight. Having said that, the person disappeared. After Lu Xining left, the quiet crowd became noisy again. Zhang Ningyu clenched his fists and looked at Lin Qingjun and the others with eyes that seemed to be spitting fire. At this time, two younger brothers came to his ear and whispered a few words. Then his eyes suddenly opened wide. Do you think it's true or false? Just now, these two younger brothers told him that Lin Qingjun is an SSS-level genius. The younger brother nodded. It is absolutely true. We who participated in the trial saw it with our own eyes. Zhang Ningyu's clenched fists suddenly relaxed. He is an SSS-level genius, and he is really not to be trifled with. Even Lin Qingjun can't trifle with him. He turned around and left in a hurry, just like a dog that has lost its home. Lin Qingjun and others didn't take this matter to heart and walked into the cafeteria. Brother, what realm are you in now? Just arrived at Wuling. It took more than half a year to reach Wuling, and you can't do that? Tisk, I'm only an S-level contract spirit. It's amazing to have such an achievement. Everyone was eating and chatting. Alas, when you reach the solid breaking realm, the academy will no longer provide you with resources. You will have to fight for everything on your own, Lin Qingjun said. Lin Qingjun nodded. Taibai has said this, but I just don't know how to fight for it. First, the academy will arrange a job for you, such as working in the city guards, etc., and the salary is quite considerable. 2. Complete the bounty missions in the academy and obtain resources. 3. Join or start your own mercenary group and go out of the city to hunt exotic beasts. But the academy will not be responsible for safety issues. Isn't it too early to tell us now? It's not too early. Tell me something in advance so you don't have time later. After finishing lunch, everyone went back to their residences. Lin Qingjun dusted off the sofa and lay down. Oh, it's still comfortable here. I looked up at the ceiling, thinking about my future path. The academy's tunneling realm is the graduation realm, and you will graduate once you reach it. Breaking through the solid state is equivalent to being a student who can work during the summer vacation. I will never accept the position assigned by the college. It's nothing but a pit. He remembered that during his summer vacation in high school, the school suddenly announced an activity called social practice, and he voluntarily signed up to work in a factory. Something like, let you go out into the society and experience the ups and downs of life. When asked about the salary, he said something like 4,000 to 5,000, including food and accommodation. As a result, when a group of people went to sign the contract, they were all dumbfounded. The salary is 2,070 yuan, including food and accommodation, but electricity and water charges are extra. Lin Qingjun exclaimed at the time, what a good fellow. From the very beginning, the school had taught them a lesson. Don't trust outsiders easily. Shit. As for the bounty missions at school, I don't think I can make much money, but after thinking about it, I think it's better to be a mercenary. Chapter 47. Moreover, he had also made up his mind that he would ask for their opinions after a while, and bring Li Taibai and others into the mercenary group. At this time, Shi Di came in front of him and stretched out his white and tender little hand. Food. Hey, are you hungry? I asked you to eat in the cafeteria, but you refused. Now you're asking me for food? Lin Qingjun sat up and smiled. Shi Di's pretty face turned slightly red. He snorted and turned his head away. It's a shame to die with dignity. He took out a few desserts he brought from the cafeteria from his pocket and threw them into her arms. Then he walked into the kitchen. After a while, he came out with 2 cups of milk tea. Shi Di, who was sitting on the sofa and eating dessert in small bites, paused and twitched his nose. I smelled a sweet scent that I had never smelled before. Oops, Lin Qingjun came and sat down on the sofa. Holding a cup of milk tea, he waved it in front of Shi Di. You want a drink, but I won't give it to you. Ha ha ha. Huh, why would I drink something like this? Shi Di snorted lightly, turned his head away, ate his dessert, and tried not to look at the milk tea. However, his eyes still glanced at the milk tea from time to time. It would be a lie to say I'm not greedy. Hulu, Lin Qingjun took a sip of milk tea and said in a provocative manner, wow, sweet and delicious, tasty and juicy. Are you sure you don't want to have a sip? Humph, I said. I won't drink if I don't want to. Really? Are you sure you don't want to drink it if I give it to you? As he said this, he pushed the unfinished cup in front of her. Shi Di looked at the milk tea in front of him, swallowed his saliva, and asked tentatively, is it really that delicious? You'll know after you drink it, won't you? Shi Di smelled the tempting milk aroma and couldn't help swallowing several times. Finally, I couldn't resist the temptation and took a sip. Her eyes suddenly lit up. She had never tasted anything so delicious before. Fragrant and sweet. Then I couldn't stop drinking it. Lin Qingjun looked at her like this and laughed strangely in his heart. Few girls can resist the temptation of milk tea. Having worked in a milk tea shop for so long, he knows this very well. Not long after, Shi Di finished the cup of milk tea. Looking at the empty cup, he couldn't help but look up at Lin Qingjun, glancing around. No more? I want more. The latter had an inexplicable smile on his face and hooked his finger, motioning her to come over. The Empress was totally unaware of how obscene the smile on Lin Qingjun's lips was. When she got closer, Lin Qingjun reached out his hand and pulled the defenseless Empress into his arms. Pressed on the sofa. Master! Ugh! As soon as Shi Di opened his mouth was blocked. Her eyes widened. This was the second time. The first time was caused by absorbing too much energy from the Dragon Balls. This one came for no reason. After a long while, Lin Qingjun raised his head and smiled. It's icy and cool, and much more fragrant than before. Not bad, not bad. After hearing these words, Shirdi, who was already blushing, even his ears turned red. Lord, aren't you not interested in me? As he spoke, he turned his head away. Lin Qingjun smiled and said, Who said that? I'm just not interested in your flat chest. I'm still very interested in you as a person. He is a man. Okay? With a stunning beauty by his side every day, even a straight man like steel and concrete would be aroused. Okay? Shirdi touched his chest with an unnatural expression, obviously hit hard. Lin Qingjun raised his hand and pinched her chin and asked, Are you interested in me? Shirdi moved his head but couldn't move it. However, he still looked at Lin Qingjun calmly. Even if the Lord becomes my Lord, the current Lord is still not qualified. Upon hearing this, the latter felt inexplicably angry. Some of these sentences have these words. I don't deserve it. But he pondered over these words again and suddenly smiled. In other words, I will be qualified once I become strong enough? Shirdi did not reply, but his evasive look made it clear. The reward for first place in the trial was delivered quickly, but there was no rush to practice and I took a day off to do so. The next day was the same as a month ago. First go to class, and then after school go to the competition venue with Li Bai to participate in the competition. The two put on masks, and Shirdi reluctantly turned into a cat and was held in Lin Qingjun's arms. The latter thought for a moment and said, Are we participating in the Cocoon Solid Realm competition or the Transformation Solid Realm competition? Li Bai thought for a moment and said, Wait until I break through to the Solidification Realm. The Cocoon Realm is no longer worth our participation. That's right. Let's go to the Wagajing audience seats to see their strength. The two walked into the audience seats of the Wagajing competition venue. Just found a seat and sat down. At this time, a gambling dealer was shouting, Come and take a look at the bets of the Tianyao group and the Erba group. Alas, the betting will be closed soon. If you don't hurry up, it will be too late. Lin Qingjun took a look and then turned to ask Li Bai. I forgot to ask before, so I'll ask now, does the Academy allow gambling? Li Bai yawned and said, It is allowed, but the Academy also stipulates that you cannot gamble with your personal property. That is, real estate, indentures, children, and IOUs cannot be gambled. Even if you take it out, the casino won't take it. Oh, I didn't expect the Academy to be so thoughtful. It didn't take long before the next game started. Lin Qingjun opened his crystal eyes and observed the movements of each of them. The result. I didn't understand anything, but I did find a lot of flaws. Turning around, I found Li Bai was watching intently. I couldn't help but marvel in my heart. Bai is worthy of being Bai. After about 7 or 8 minutes, the team was determined to win, and the three-tyrant group won. Lin Qingjun smiled and said, Bai, what do you think our chances of winning are if we face the three hegemons? Li Bai shuddered, raised his head, wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth and said, 3 hegemons? Which be asterisk. When Lin Qingjun saw him like this, the corners of his mouth twitched. My goodness, I thought you were watching the game seriously, but it turned out you fell asleep. Since we have no interest in watching the game, let's go. Li Bai nodded. It's really boring. Let's go back and practice sword. When the two stood up, they almost bumped into a woman. The three of them took a few steps back at the same time. K. I almost got blackmailed. Lin Qingjun patted his chest and said, then he looked up and found a girl in school uniform. He looked up and down, focusing on the chest for a few seconds. The girl noticed Lin Qingjun's gaze and blushed, crossing her arms. It's so disgusting. B level? Lin Qingjun retracted his gaze and became indifferent. TSK, a flatland, a horse farm, an airport, a Pacific princess, isn't it just that I looked at you a little more? Do you really think you are so attractive? Pa. When the girl heard these words, she was completely dumbfounded. I couldn't help but look down and saw that it was true. He couldn't help but become angry, his fists clenched and shaking. The most important thing is that she couldn't refute it, that was the fact. At this time, she saw a very beautiful cat lying in Lin Qingjun's arms. Suddenly, my heart was melted by cuteness, and I pointed at Shirdi and said, How much is your cat? Yijia, bought it for 10 times the price. Lin Qingjun curled his lips and said, Brother, who would bring a pet to the Contractor Academy? This is my contracted spirit. It's not for sale. If you have too much money and don't have anywhere to put it, just scatter it in the sky. And don't block the way. After saying that, he walked straight past her. Li Bai glanced at her and shook his head. You are asking for trouble? Yi Jia was so angry that she stamped her feet and wanted to retaliate, but her brain circuit did not support her to retaliate. Chapter 48. Wow, don't let me know who you are, or I'll make sure you can't stay in this west courtyard forever. Yi Jia looked at the backs of Lin Qingjun and the other man and said harsh words. On the way, Lin Qingjun stretched lazily and asked, besides this competition arena where I can compete and improve myself, is there anywhere else I can go? Li Taibai thought for a moment and said, in addition to the competition arena, there is also the duel arena, where you can solve those bloody things of a person in the Colosseum. Fighting against strange beasts alone is risky, but the benefits are very high. Great, do you want to go? Lin Qingjun rolled his eyes. I'm just an assistant, what are you going to do? Go back to sleep? Li Bai shook his head. He knew this was the answer. The two walked for some distance and then separated. After returning to his residence, Lin Qingjun sat on the sofa and looked at Shirdi. Is it cultivation or improving the understanding of time and space? The latter thought for a moment and said, Master, your strength is too weak now. It is not yet time for you to comprehend time and space. Just knowing the general idea will be enough. Now you should focus on cultivation. Aren't you afraid that I might go crazy? With me here, you don't have to worry about this, Lord. Upon hearing this, Lin Qingjun didn't waste any time and directly poured out the inner elixir of the strange beast. The two of them quickly entered into a state of cultivation. As the energy flows through every corner of the body, it finally flows into the eyes. Suddenly, when he opened his eyes, the scene around him changed completely. There was a huge projector in front of him, on which was marked a small village with a population of several 100,000 people. Below the projector were rows of computers and unknown instruments, and in front of each computer sat a person in dark green military uniform. He sat on a high platform with various buttons in front of him. Have I entered my own fantasy world in a different time and space again? This time I seem to be the commander? Just as he was mumbling in disbelief, a man dressed as a secretary beside him looked at the document in his hand and said, Commander Lin, several hundred people from Team 137, Team 146, and Team 180 had already sneaked into this town 38 hours ago to conduct a survey. I see. How's the survey going now? Lin Qingjun nodded slightly, his eyes revealing the aura of a superior. Afterwards, the secretary reported the relevant information and then left. After the secretary left, Lin Qingjun closed his eyes and leaned back in his chair, not knowing what he was thinking about. After a long time, he opened his eyes and gave an order. Annihilate. It's not about encircling and suppressing those enemy spies who infiltrated this small town. Instead, they carried out an all-round annihilation of the entire town. Then tens of thousands of people in this small town died under this order. Afterwards, the story was covered up with a false report that the enemy was launching missiles at the town with the intention of starting a war. Half a month later, the country and the enemy country launched a full-scale war because of this incident. A year later, the two countries fought each other without any result and finally stopped fighting by a truce. And for some unknown reason, Lin Qingjun was inexplicably accused of treason. When he stood in the court, facing several judges and many people, he only said a few words. I am too indecisive. Before being taken away, he turned his head to look at the national flag outside, and his upright body relaxed as if all the burdens had been lifted from him. There was an unprecedented happy smile on his face. Then step into the dark passage. Roar! Lin Qingjun woke up suddenly. Now he was not awakened by fright, but by shock. Shirdi also stopped practicing. Looking at Lin Qingjun, whose whole body was soaked with sweat and looked frightened, he couldn't help but feel a little confused. Is it a nightmare again? Lin Qingjun covered his face with his hands and rubbed it for a long time before raising his head. He looked at the emperor and said, If your tribe betrayed you, turned right and wrong, and sent you to the endless dungeon just to appease the anger of the foreign enemies, what would you do? The latter was somewhat confused by the question. Why do you ask? My tribe will not abandon any of its members because of external enemies and… Lin Qingjun shook his head. I said if, it's just a if. The emperor's eyes turned a little cold, but soon turned into a look of loss. If this is true, I will only feel extremely disappointed. No hatred. Lin Qingjun stepped forward, grabbed her shoulders, and said. Shidi shook his head slightly. Hatred. Only the incompetent will have the thought of revenge in their hearts. Lin Qingjun opened his mouth, stood up and walked towards the bathroom. The former looked at his back and murmured in a low voice, "Lord, what did you see on that time and space line? Or what did you realize?" But then he shook his head. "But don't be affected by it." In the bathroom, Lin Qingjun let the cold water wash over his body. I closed my eyes and didn't know what I was thinking. I don't know how much time passed before he slowly opened his eyes. With a smile on his face, he said, "It's stupid to get yourself involved. This sentence is really true." The next day, Zhongfeng didn't bring his textbook this time. Ahem. He came to the podium, cleared his throat, and said, "Today, I want to tell you something special." Lin Qingjun's eyes lit up and he asked, "What's so special? Is it possible that some secret realm has been opened?" Zhongfeng glanced at him and said, "What the hell? I've never heard of any secret realm." "Oh, what special day is that?" "Of course it's the 8 college competition that happens every 20 years. It's about to begin." "What? The 8 colleges competition has started?" Lin Qingjun and others looked shocked. Zhongfeng was stunned when he saw their expressions. "Do you know what the 8 colleges competition is? Are you so surprised?" The 4 shook their heads. "I don't know. F***K. Why are you guys making such shocked expressions?" "Head teacher Zhong, are we saying this to please you? Generally speaking, when it comes to a competition this old, there will definitely be exclamations or surprises." Lin Qingjun shrugged, with an expression that said, "I understand. Get lost. You are pretending to know something when you don't." Zhongfeng glared at Lin Qingjun and continued, "The 8 colleges competition is held every 20 years. Each college will select 5 students from the cocoon solid realm to the featherless realm. Go and compete." "Oh, I see. Then, teacher, what about those in the Tongling realm? What about them?" When Mengda raised his hand and asked, "Tongling realm is a graduation realm. Once you reach this realm, you graduate. So there is no such thing as Tongling realm participating in the competition. Where are the rewards?" "Yes, very generous. Huluhu." Zhongfeng took a sip of tea and continued, "Moreover, after the 8 colleges competition, you will be dragged to participate in the 5 cities competition. The rewards will be even more generous by then. You will have a broader vision by then." Chapter 49. Bang. Mentor. Lin Qingjun slapped the table with both hands and stood up, startling everyone. Zhongfeng pressed his hand and said, Lin Qingjun, if you have anything to say, sit down and talk. There's no need to make such a fuss." Lin Qingjun smiled and said, "Teacher Zhong, just give me a place. With my current Huagu realm cultivation, isn't it a joke to beat those Jingu realm brats? Damn, I was actually despised." Luo Penghao and the other 3 clenched their fists but were unable to refute. Zhongfeng had a sullen face. He walked down from the podium and gave him a slap on the head. "Did you understand what I said? 5 people were selected from each of the Jingu and Huagu realms. I clearly stated my realm. Did you listen to me?" Lin Qingjun covered his head and sat down. "Well, I'm a freshman who has only been in school for a few months, and I have to compete with those old students. I think I'd better not go." Zhongfeng's eyelids twitched a few times. Why is this kid so jumpy? Rubbing his brows, he walked up to the podium, looked at the 5 students, and said with a sullen face, "You are the worst class I have ever taught." "I am not talking nonsense." None of my other students interrupted the teacher during class. When Ida raised his hand and said, "I seem to have heard a saying that what kind of mentor you have, what kind of student you have. This is true because we know exactly what kind of person you are." "Uh-huh." The other 4 nodded in agreement. "Don't think we don't know why you chose us. I knew it clearly when I first came to the West Courtyard." Zhongfeng clenched his fists, pointed at the door and shouted, "Standing outside in your training clothes?" The 5 people wailed, put on black and heavy clothes, and walked outside. Shurdi sat on the stool and looked at Lin Qingjun's back. Why does the Lord have completely different faces when he is at home and when he is away from home? Lin Qingjun is lazy at home, but he is very serious. And what about outside? It's like a husky in human skin, so happy. A slug at home and a lively dragon outside. Zhongfeng stood in front of several people and said, "The competition will start in 5 days. You should improve your condition as soon as possible. Especially you, Lin Qingjun, you must get a place." Lin Qingjun smiled bitterly. "Teacher, you think too highly of me. You stay there for a day, and the others go back to the classroom." Zhongfeng waved his hand and said, "Wipe." After school, Li Bai came to find Lin Qingjun. Looking at his embarrassing look, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. What did you do to be so miserable? Talking back in class. Why didn't my instructor speak for a single day? A look of envy appeared in Li Bai's eyes. Your instructor hasn't spoken a word for a day? He didn't even talk about the 8th Academy competition? 8th college competition? F***K. I'm going to kill this instructor sooner or later. After saying this, Li Bai rushed back. Lin Qingjun. Fortunately, our tutor is not so unreliable. But judging from Li Taibai's expression, he should have some understanding of the 8 Academy's competition. Speaking of this, Li Bai seems to know a lot about most things. The Li Family Chamber of Commerce should be a big family in Wei City, Lin Qingjun murmured. It's not just the big families in Weicheng. They are basically the families that control the economic lifeline of Weicheng. The business of exotic animals cannot be separated from the Li Family Chamber of Commerce. Zhongfeng didn't let him go until the evening. I dragged my sore body back to my residence. Lying down on the sofa. Oh, damn. This instructor is so cruel. He really made me stand here all day. Please pour me a cup of tea. Why do I need to take action for such a trivial matter? Doesn't the Lord have any hands or feet? The emperor tilted his head and ignored Lin Qingjun. Then there was a long silence. Finally, Lin Qingjun couldn't help but said, "Don't you think it's awkward that you keep calling me Lord?" In fact, he himself felt awkward. Shi Di's beautiful eyes widened. The Lord still knows. The corner of Lin Qingjun's mouth twitched, but then he thought about it. Shi Di was the empress of a race, and she already had a lot of grudges against someone with her own strength and status. Then it's because of the contract, I have to say. Furthermore, if you don't tell me, I won't ask. There is this embarrassing situation. He thought for a while and then said, "You can call me Qing." The word Lord sounds awkward. Emperor Shi nodded. "Qing, I have something unclear. Come on. Why are you being polite to me? Why does Qing have two completely different faces at home and outside?" Shi Di's expression was serious. She had been wondering about this issue for a long time. Lin Qingjun sat up, looked at Emperor Shi and smiled and said, "Family influence. My parents have been very busy since I was a child, and when I was at home, my father would always have a straight face and be extremely serious, but I was a little afraid and didn't dare to do anything random. And being outside was such a relief. Over time, something like a dual personality developed." Shi Di blinked and nodded thoughtfully. Lin Qingjun reached out and patted the side. "And lend me your thigh to give me a pillow." Emperor Shi raised his head, looked at him with disdain, and said indifferently, "Qing, don't think that just because I speak calmly to you, you can come and go at will." Lin Qingjun stretched out a finger. "A cup of milk tea, plus 5 packs of desserts. Damn it, you actually tempted me. This time, I won't do it again in the future." Emperor Shi walked over reluctantly. Lin Qingjun smiled strangely and rested his head comfortably on Shi Di's smooth and round thighs. "It would be great if you could be convex, concave, and upturned. Qing, don't say such despicable words in front of me." Time passed very quickly, with more than a dozen people attending classes, practicing, and eating in 5 days. In the class, Zhongfeng patted the table and said, "This time, Qian Hongjie, Yu Yunlong, you two don't have to go." The two of them were stunned. Yu Yunlong raised his head and asked in confusion, "Why? Why doesn't the instructor let us participate? My aunt's soldiers have grown to more than 50. Zhongfeng chuckled and said, "What is the level of the person with the highest strength?" Yu Yunlong raised his head and said, "The one with the highest strength has just arrived in the cocoon realm. Teacher, don't you believe that there is strength in numbers?" "Haha, why don't you have any points?" "Okay, it's settled that you two won't participate in the competition. Now go to the ring." After saying that, he walked out directly. Qian Hongjie stepped forward, patted his shoulder and said, "Like me, look away." "Oh, what should I do if I want to hit someone?" Soon, several people moved to the arena competition. Zhongfeng turned around and looked at Lin Qingjun and said, "The arena of the solidification realm is on the other side. You go over there." "Teacher, you haven't told me the rules of the competition yet." "What rules do you want? You don't need me to tell you about the broken rules. You already know them." "All right." Lin Qingjun shrugged and walked to the arena of Huagu realm. Chapter 50. I had already registered before coming here, and all I had to do was wait for the competition to be arranged. It didn't take long before some people came over pushing a few blackboards. Lin Qingjun scanned the field and found himself in the 3rd field. "Okay, it's my turn for the 3rd game." He shrugged, pulled Shi Di to a deserted place, used the chain to transform it into a chair, and sat down. Looking around, I found that there were 4 arenas in each realm, but there is no one who has reached the realm of no feathers. But think about the scene where my brother fought with Zhang Ningyu before. Just one area alone is enough to form an arena, and if a fight really breaks out, it might affect the crowd of onlookers. Ding ding ding. At this time, a man on the stage next to him took a gong and struck it. He shouted, "I'm the referee for the second ring. You can call me Instructor Wang." Without further ado, the competition begins now. The first match is between Yang Liang and Tang Xiao. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 men who looked like passers-by jumped up. Instructor Wang shouted, "Ready, start," and then stepped aside and looked at the few people. Lin Qingjun scratched his head as he looked at the 2 passers-by, then looked at Shirdi standing beside him and asked, "What do you think of these 2 people?" The latter snorted, "They are just ants. They can't cause any harm to me and Qing at all. Ah, this is just a passerby." Soon Yang Liang won the competition. Teacher Wang knocked the gong and said, "Next, Yi Jia will face Master Jia." After saying that, a man and a woman jumped onto the stage. When Lin Qingjun saw one of them clearly, he was stunned. "Is the world so small? Do you frequently let people with grudges meet each other? But I was wearing a mask before, so you probably couldn't recognize me." On the stage, Yi Jia looked at Master Jia and smiled faintly. "Senior Jia, you entered school half a year earlier than me. Why are you still in the solid state?" The latter smiled a little embarrassedly. "Senior, you have offended someone, haven't you? You dare not break through, but your strength has reached the peak of the solidification realm. It is better for you to admit defeat to avoid getting hurt." As he spoke, a book appeared in his hand. A level treatise on the classics. Yi Jia raised her hand, and a person appeared above her head. To be more precise, this person's hands turned into a pair of blue wings. His hair was very long, longer than his entire body, but his eyes had no whites, and most of his body was the feathers obscure whether it is a man or a woman. "Senior Jia, I am an SS-level contractor. I just broke through to the 2nd level of solidification yesterday. I am not weaker than you." As he spoke, his hands turned into a pair of wings, and he rushed towards Master Jia Luan with the contracted spirit. The latter flipped the pages of the book, and a transparent light shield enveloped it, blocking Yi Jia's attack. Lin Qingjun looked at the strange creature and couldn't help but put his hand on Shidi's shoulder and said, "Sure, do you know this creature?" Emperor Sure nodded. "Yes, it has the blood of the Jingwei clan, but not completely, only 4/10 of the blood." After saying that, he patted the hand on his shoulder. "Jingwei? Yeah, I've heard of Jingwei filling up the sea, but isn't that a bird? How can it be this kind of creature, neither human nor bird?" As he spoke, Lin Qingjun slid his hand across her back and moved his arm around her waist. Such an action made Shirdi's delicate little face turn red instinctively. He stared at Lin Qingjun and said, "Please let go of this sinful hand." Lin Qingjun smiled and said, "Answer my question first." I thought to myself, what a soft waist. Emperor Sure exhaled and said, "In the Jingwei clan, the female bird will transform into a half-human bird, similar to the one above, but much more beautiful than this one. As for the male bird, it is a blue bird. As for this one, which has impure blood, can we let it go now?" Lin Qingjun nodded thoughtfully. "The female bird is half-human, and the male bird is just a bird. So how did they create the little man? The picture is so beautiful that I can imagine it." He shook his head and looked at Shirdi, grinning and whispering in her ear. "How soft and elastic it must be. It would be great if it could bend and twist." Then he let go of my hand. Swish, the latter's face, which was originally slightly red, became even redder, but soon returned to normal. "Qing, if you humiliate me like this again, don't blame me for being rude." Lin Qingjun smiled and stopped talking. On the ring, the 2 have reached the peak stage, and it won't take long to decide the winner. Master Jia Luan was already sweating profusely, and most of his energy had been consumed. Yi Jia was still attacking, and judging from her expression, she seemed to still have some strength left. I cursed in my heart, I met such a tough opponent in the first game. I am going to lose. But even if we lose, we have to lose gracefully. Retract the protective shield and gather all your strength into the book. With a humming sound, the sutra shone brightly and turned several pages. Then, an extremely powerful beam of light rushed towards Yi Jia in the sky. The latter looked at the beam of light and could sense that he couldn't escape. Then he raised his hand, and a colorful boulder rose up. With a bang, the beam of light hit the colorful boulder, causing a buzzing sound. But the colorful boulder did not move at all, or rather, the beam of light did not cause any damage to the colorful boulder at all. Lin Qingjun opened his mouth slightly below the ring. This stone is even more powerful than Master Jia's protective shield. Master Jia sighed as he watched this scene and said, I give up. Ding. Instructor Wang struck the gong and said, Yi Jia wins this battle. Yi Jia returned to her original appearance and was carried down to the stage by Jingwei behind her. Then he waved to the audience and said, I'm sorry to have made a fool of myself. Pa pa pa. A group of people applauded for no apparent reason. Sister Yi is extremely talented, yet so humble and polite. Yes, you are very polite. Lin Qingjun, would you like me to perform a song later? But then he shook his head. You still know what kind of person you are. The next match is between Lin Qingjun and Jing Tang. Lin Qingjun stood up and jumped onto the stage with Shi Di. At the same time, a man holding a fan jumped up from the opposite side. This man is just like that. Jing Tang was stunned when he saw that the other party had 2 people. He looked at Teacher Wang and said, Referee, are 2 people allowed to go on stage together now? Isn't this a trap? Yeah, 2 people on stage? Have the rules changed? 2 people fighting against 1 person. Isn't this cruel? A group of people below were howling, expressing their dissatisfaction. Even Instructor Wang was stunned when he saw the 2 opponents jump onto the stage. I remember the rules weren't changed. It's 1-on-1, not 2-on-1. As he said this, he looked at Lin Qingjun and said seriously, these 2 students must abide by the rules. Ask Lin Qingjun's student to stay, and the other one to leave the stage. Lin Qingjun looked at Shidi and scratched his head. Well, he was originally worried that someone would admit his mistake in this matter,